Hey guys, what's up? We are here, obviously back with WTS, AG Supercars, Flatout Investments podcast, and today we have a pretty special guest, an actual shop owner who is not just a shop owner, but is actually an avid, real car enthusiast, and is actually someone I've known for a little bit. And we had not been in contact for a while, and then all of a sudden, I actually reached out to him on Instagram and found out that we had actually known each other from a previous M3 that I had, a super rare E36 M3 that I had back in the day, an individual M3. So he's here with us today, Justin. Justin, thank you for being with us, man. I really appreciate it. Obviously, you're coming from Boost Addictions. That's your business and your shop's name. So I think most people hearing that will know exactly what you're all about.
Thanks, Albert. I appreciate you inviting me to be on the podcast.
For sure, man.
Yeah, we build turbo cars. That's it, and
Okay.
that's where we started in turbo BMWs, and we've kind of expanded a little bit from there.
Awesome.
But that's kind of the gist of it. And we can go into a little bit more detail later,
Okay.
if you want. But
For sure. Yeah, I would hope so. With a name like that, it's like you better be into turbos, man.
yeah,
And
I mean,
sorry, I was going to ask you one last thing. You do specialize in BMWs, obviously.
yeah, we do. BMW for the most part is probably 90% of our business, but
Awesome.
we kind of been dabbling in a little bit of GM. I got a twin turbo Mustang sitting here right now.
Nice.
Do a lot of Volkswagen Audi stuff, and we've actually got a cool new project that we just purchased today.
Okay, what's that? You got to tell us that.
So
We got to start off with that. That'll be a great start.
okay, so it's not that cool, but it's a little bit cool.
Okay.
We found a one owner Acura RSX Type S.
Oh, nice. Those are rare.
Yeah,
Those are
and we got it for $1,200
What?
with the
Those
window
those are
sticker and
shooting up in
everything.
price. Like on Bring a Trailer, sometimes you see the Type R Integras for. I saw one for like 30 grand the other day.
Exactly, and we got it with the window sticker, original window sticker, and everything.
Oh, dude, that's cool. That's very nice. Very cool. What
So
do you?
we're gonna,
Is that gonna be a shop car?
yeah. So our plan is there's another Justin that works part time here at the shop with me, and our plan for this thing is to kind of make it an all around fun car. It's a front wheel drive car, so you can only make so much power with it before it becomes kind of unusable and you sacrifice in other areas.
Right.
So we want to make a very balanced and fine-tuned 400 horsepower that we can take this car and do track days, we can do autocross, we can take it to the drag strip, whatever we want to do. We just want to be able to take this thing out and beat it and take it home.
Awesome. That sounds like a plan. Hey man, those things are really capable too. I mean, I remember back in the day, the R6s. They were. I had a friend of mine that he's one. I don't want to say he's the first guy in Miami that had a turbo one, but I think he was one of the guys. I forgot the guy's name, and I haven't chilled with him a long time. He's an old racing buddy of mine. We used to kind of hang out at the hangouts and on Okeechobee, back in the day, and when the street racing was all going on over there, and it was cool, man. It was that maybe you can help me on the color. It was like that metallic. It was almost like a metallic. It was that bronze metallic color. It was a pretty
Yes.
rare color, but a lot of people used to get it, try to go after that color because it was rare, to make it that much more special. And those were badass, man. I mean, they weren't, as you said, front wheel drive, but for a front, I mean, it was a small little car. I think those weigh a little bit less than under 3,100 pounds, right?
Yes, so the earlier '02 to '04s, I believe, are under 2,800 pounds, like
Nice.
27 and change, and then the
Yep.
'05 and '06 are probably closer to that 3,000 pound mark.
Right.
But I'm
Awesome.
not like really a Honda guy, so
Right.
I
Neither am
I'm
I.
like, yeah, so I
But
don't really know all the details on it. This just kind of just fell into our lap, so we're like, hey, why not? We only build European cars for ourselves.
right.
So like we said, let's do something different. And the K
Yeah.
series is just such a capable platform.
100%. The K series, the K20, K24s. I mean, you have guys now making like 2,000 horsepower in some, NHRA cars and some street cars actually 1,600 horsepower today. So yeah,
Yeah. Even
sure.
I've seen that the naturally aspirated builds, 400 plus horsepower to the tires, all motor. Like that's just
right.
it's just crazy.
Yep, for sure. It's insane. I mean, like I said, that guy had around, I think it was around 450, maybe even close to 480. And it was, man, I had a Terminator Cobra at the time. I had I had a Mystic '04 Cobra. A lot of people remember that car from back in the day. And at the time, I only had bolt-ons, which was close to
Yeah,
about 480.
that's
And
way
dude,
way fast back then.
yeah, way fat. And dude, he would get me. And he would, I mean, we'd do 20, 30, 40 rolls. And on a 40 roll, man, it didn't matter what I did. It's like he would just, because of the power to weight, he'd just start pulling me after, I think it was around after third gear, at the top of third gear, and I started getting into fourth. That's when, aerodynamics and everything started taking place at above 100 miles per hour. And you start seeing the gap, and I'm like, God damn, like, come on, this is horrible. Losing to a Honda, like, what's going on here? But it was a nice little car. I think if Honda would have made that car real to drive, I think that car would have had a 10 times more cult following. Unfortunately,
They did. It's called an S2000.
well, exactly, exactly. But even the S2K is like, come on, that thing is. I mean, even smaller than the as far as the Accurates, it's smaller, and it's a different car, obviously, but
Yeah.
But definitely, yeah, definitely very cool, man. So, and for 1700 with a window sticker, so is it in good condition? Is the exterior in good condition? I mean, it's a good car.
So we're gonna have to clean up the paint. Like, it definitely needs a paint correction. And there's but the guy told us that he's probably waxed it twice in his ownership, and
Wow.
he was one owner. So
Yeah,
you
so
can imagine it's not in the greatest shape. But the body has no dents.
awesome.
All the body panels fit perfectly. Like, it's really just.
It's a clean car. It just needs some paint correction.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. It needs some help, and we're gonna clean it up. And we, even though we're gonna race it, we still don't want it to look terrible.
Yeah, you don't want it to. Yeah, it's not a junker. It's a good car. It's a clean car. It's always nice to bring new life to a clean car. Very cool, man. Awesome.
And like you said, the way the values are changing now, all the stuff you see on Bring a Trailer, like I feel like that could be one of those opportunities later on for us whenever we're done with it.
What's the mileage on it?
So that's the difficult part. It's got a lot of miles on the body.
What's a lot of miles?
265,000 about.
Whoa, that's and it's mechanically sane. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Everything's the serpentine belt's even original.
Holy shit! So he probably didn't. It doesn't look like he beat it that much, or
no. He said that he didn't even get into VTEC because he said the amount of noise it makes is embarrassing, and he didn't want people on the street to hear him.
Oh my God, man!
Getting into VTEC.
Dude, who was this guy? Like, he was like the anti-Honda guy.
No, what's funny is he's a racing guy too. He's a SCCA racer. Yeah, and it's just, the street car is just different purpose for him. This was, drive to work every day, and that's it.
I think this is the first person in the history of Honda ownership that you have a guy that's like, no, I can't hit VTEC.
Right?
Are you kidding me? That's the only reason why some guys, like, VTEC, gotta get VTEC. Like, that's from the BMW side of things, guys. I'm sure you all know that's kind of like our Vano system, but we don't make a big deal out of it anymore. They used to back in the 90s.
Yeah, and the Vanos one works better.
Yeah, exactly. Vanos is a little bit better. But man, that's hilarious. Cool, man. Also, what color is it?
It's white.
Okay, nice. That's a good color. I mean, that's not too hard to work on. It makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah, it'll hide a lot of the imperfections that are there.
Right. Cool, man. Awesome. And so the plans with that is just are you guys you're gonna single turbo it?
Yeah, we're gonna do. The plan is a GTX 3076R turbocharger with a Sidewinder tubular manifold. So it'll be kind of like what would be considered like a top mount setup for an RSX or Civic.
Right. Yeah.
Mostly just for the bling.
Or for the bling.
Yeah, just for
it's gonna move. I mean, it's gonna make 400 horsepower all day long.
Yeah, and that's. I just don't see the need for any more power than that. Like, we've built cars that have much more power than that. My old E36 made over 800 wheel horsepower, and I just that need has already been met.
Yeah, you shot that heroin shot. You're good to go now.
Yeah, I don't need any more. I know some people got that a whole different level of desire to go fast, but for me, that's plenty.
No, I mean, I think everything has its limit, and I think that most of the people that would listen to this and know the E36 platform, E36 platform, such as myself and you, let me tell you, man, 800 horsepower, 900 horsepower on E36 it's the equivalent of like 12, 1400. I mean, maybe not 14, but 1200, 1100 horsepower other cars.
Yep.
It's a no joke. I mean, that car is super, especially because of the suspension geometry of how amazing that car is. Dude, the car, I mean, the rear of the tires will be still, they'll be spinning in the rear and you're still going forward. I mean, it's ridiculous sometimes. Like those cars that's like the number one. That's why, I remember when obviously Fast and the Furious came out and everybody's raving about the Supra, obviously, and it kind of put the Supra on the map, like as that car, like, oh my God, that's the tuner car to buy. Then the Skyline came out, and you know what I don't like is that Too Fast Too Furious that obviously was horrendous. It was I don't know what the fuck happened there with production, and sad to say, it was here shot in Miami. It could have been amazing,
right?
I don't like the fact that I don't know if you remember this, but you know that there was an E36 in Too Fast Too Furious.
Yeah, didn't they crash it or something?
Yes, they wrecked it. They
was
wrecked
the
it.
black
They
one.
gave
It's
it
like a wide body.
Yes. Yeah, it was a weird wide body, like I don't know what type of wide body. It might have been at the time. I don't even remember what. I think it might have been a Bomex or something. Some shit wide body that just looked horrible. And they fucking just wrecked it. They had that like Spanish Carlos guy or whatever, and it was just come on, man. Like they just gave no. I mean, imagine if they would have paid as much homage to the E36 M3 in the Too Fast, or at least continued, maybe in Tokyo Drift or even when they brought the series back here. They never gave that car I think the attention and the respect that it should have gotten. So it's sad.
No, it's really probably one of my that is the favorite car that I've ever owned right there.
Really?
It's my E36,
Okay.
and that thing was just such a wild ride.
Yep.
I could put that car in fifth gear on street tires and get it up to like 140, and put my foot down at 140 and smoke the tires.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that people, I think obviously we all know what a cult following the E36 platform has had for a long time. And if it's done right, obviously, so like you guys, I'm sure have done a lot of amazing work on E36s, and there's a balance. There's a balance. I mean, once you get into that 1,000 horsepower range, if you didn't do a full proper wide body that you can get from like it's DTM Fiberworks, and be able to really get at least a 12 or 12 inch, at least a 12 in the rear, and at least a 10.5 in the front, a wide inch wheel. You're just not going to be doing anything. I mean, not that it's a necessary thing to do that, but if you want to go to that 1,000+ horsepower in an E36, you better get a wide body on that thing to have the proper, setup on it.
You definitely have to spend some time on suspension work.
Yeah.
I actually on a 245 drag radial, I was able to make that car dead hook in second gear. Once the tires were warm.
Right. And that's impressive.
Yeah. Like I said, that thing was just a wild, fun ride. And the car ended up trapping 146 miles an hour in a quarter mile.
That's fucking sick.
I drove it to the track with the spare tire in it, full tank of E85.
Full tank, yeah.
Full interior, cooler in the back full of all our beers and stuff. And made a bunch of passes between like 142 and 146, and then that's it. I'm done.
That was it. You're done. Yeah. Hit your mile per hour. 147. That's no joke. That was what, like a 9, close to a 9, right? That was in there.
No, I wasn't hooking that good or launching that hard, but
okay. But the mile
speed
per hour
was
there.
up there. Yeah, the mile per hour was there.
Yep. Yeah, they're absolutely amazing cars. They're one of my. That was actually one of the things that we were going to go down as far, but we kind of just touched it right now. So what? I'll kind of go through our topics that we had. So the topics that you came up with, which were fantastic. Usually it's vice versa. I will grab topic and send it to you, and you will, grab 4 topics, send it to me. But at this point, I read your topics. I'm like, you know what? This is perfect. We don't have to do both. This will be fantastic to cover. So the first, excuse me, I can't talk today. The first, topic that you had sent me was as far as business, economics, investments. We were going to talk about the cars. What we were both driving and favorite projects. So we kind of just took we just hit on that right now. So the E36, by far, without a doubt, throughout all the cars you've ever had, and I think you've had an E46 as well, right? You have an E46 now?
Yeah, I have an E46 M3 now, which we just finished turbocharging. It's not tuned yet, so I haven't gotten to have any fun with it yet.
That's what I'm fucking talking about, and hopefully we're going to make our April 17th event, which is going to be ridiculous. I've been promoting the shit out of it. You got to make it, man. Like if the car's ready, you better be there. If not, I'm gonna go to the shop. I'm gonna steal the car from you.
That's the plan. That's the plan, is to be
plan.
there. And I sold my other car last summer, which I would have preferred to have brought that one down there.
Which was what?
I had a 996 turbo.
Oh, dude, you had a 996 turbo?
Uh-huh.
Why'd you? Well, I'm guessing you sold it for probably financial reasons.
No, you know what?
No.
It's going to sound really bad, but that car just didn't wow me even a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, and one of my good friends...
Well, in comparison to an E36 and E46, of course not.
Well, right. I went from the E36 into the Porsche. Like, that was kind of the move. There's a few months gap in between, but that was the move.
Right. And tell me all about that. How did that transition go? You kind of had the don't meet your heroes type of situation there happen.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I had a good friend of mine that always told me, don't drive your hero.
Yeah.
And I had dreamed about having a 996 turbo, and don't get me wrong, it's an awesome car, but it doesn't have the rawness. Yeah, it doesn't have the rawness. Like,
right.
Mine made probably, I never dynoed it, but it should have been somewhere over 600 all-wheel horsepower, because I had twin 57 millimeter turbos on it, and
wow.
Yeah, serious. I did everything that I like, basically as far as I could go on a stock motor is what I did with it.
Right. And it still just it wasn't. I mean, if it had, I mean, a 993 turbo with a round 400 plus is nice now. It's not crazy, but it's nice.
Well, the car was fast. Like, I took it to the drag strip, and that one trapped 135 on pump gas.
Nice.
But the problem is the car is actually too good.
Right. Tell me what you mean by that, Justin. That's a hard one to wrap my head around.
Okay. So a car being that fast, and there was nothing exciting going on because the car handled that power so well.
Right. It just didn't feel like you were doing anything. So
it didn't feel like I was doing anything. And I had the suspension done. I had the GT3 6-piston brakes on it.
It's a must.
Like there was no way I could drive that car in a manner that would even push it what it was capable of. Without taking it to the track, which it just.
Yeah. I understand. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's what car is infamous for that, and a lot of people it's completely forgotten. I wish Porsche would bring back this car. Porsche, if you're listening, please, can you stop making this stupid Panamera? I know it's making you all the money in the world. Make the Panamera all you want, but can you please bring back? Can we get a new 928? If we had a new 928, imagine what that would be. So the 928 is super famous for doing that. Obviously, it gets its genetics from its DNA from the 911. I have a good buddy of mine who I grew up street racing with. He's a engineer, top of his class, worked at or was working at Hypercar. I think he just switched now, but he was Hypercar for almost 8 years. Dude, we talked about that car a lot because him and his brother, that's all they would do is trade 928s, like back in the 90s, way before anybody even understood the value of Porsches and all that good stuff. And he told me, and we talked about it a lot, and he's like, dude, you don't understand. Like, you don't understand. That's a car that, like, you don't understand. That car will laugh at you when you try to take it to its limit. I'm like, what? I'm like, come on, dude. It's me. It's Albie. Like, my nickname's Albie. Like, come on, it's me, Albie. Like, I'm going to fucking beat the shit. He's like, no, you don't understand, Albie. There's been very little people on this earth that can come close to bringing that car to its capable limit. Like, as you said, on the street. Obviously, on a racetrack, it's a little bit different. But it will laugh in your face. And, as much as you think you're pushing the suspension geometry on the car. I mean, we're talking about a car that in the 90s had rear wheel steering, which was revolutionary. They're bringing all that back now. They brought it back for the 991 GT3 and everything. And everybody's like, oh, my God, it's amazing. Like, it's been around since the 90s. Don't get too excited. But it's just, obviously they revamped the entire system and it's 20 billion times better. But dude, that car, he told me, he's like, you will scare the shit out of yourself in that car because of how much you can try to push it. So I do understand what you mean by that now. But that's an amazing thing, isn't it? I mean, I think that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people, especially now, you have companies like Singer that is starting to push the limits of the 930 and the 935, and really take it to its I mean, an ultimate level that nobody I thought ever. I think nobody really envisioned what could be done with that car until it was properly given the proper attention.
Yeah, and those cars are just that's another one that's on the bucket list, but I don't know if I should do it because I don't want to be disappointed.
Disappointed. Well, that one, I
Exactly.
think, I would tell you this. I watched a lot of singers documentaries, and lately I saw last year, I think Chris Harris was there at the factory at the location in California at the shop. He spoke about how it's such a difficult car to understand on video. You have to drive it to understand the amazingness of it and the fact and the engineering that went into try to grab all the amazing things that it already has built into the DNA of the chassis and the suspension, but just bring that to like a brand new modern level. I think that might be a car. You know what? That actually, if now talking about it, thinking about it, that might be the car that car would probably translate very well like an E36. I think that that's the whole point of what Singer had in mind is that they wanted to bring the car to a new level that it had never that nobody I think nobody ever had the vision to see that was capable
I had my two chances to buy two different cars. One was black, one was white,
of. Okay,
and
a singers.
no, just
Oh,
930 turbos.
okay,
One of them was a 4-speed car, the other was a 5-speed.
okay.
Um, so I guess the later one probably would have been a 964. I get
Right.
confused with my Porsche numbers.
Yeah,
But
the 964 I believe is one of the main chassis that they use.
yeah, so I kick myself in the butt because the car market now has gone wild.
Oh yeah.
It's and this was probably like 2011 ish,
Okay.
2012, and I had an opportunity to buy one. They wanted 21 grand for it. It
Wow,
was
that was
black,
steep.
and
Very
another one
cheap.
that they wanted 30 grand for. It was white, and I missed the white one by about 45 minutes. I was 2 minutes too late with the cash. That another guy I
Shit.
knew actually bought it and totaled it within two
No
weeks.
way.
Yup.
Fuck. That's always sad to hear when you have that chance. But you never know, man. I mean, sometimes I'm not one of those guys that says, "Oh, well, everything happens for a reason." I don't believe in that, but sometimes maybe, who knows? Maybe if you would have bought that, something would have happened. And, I mean, it's hard to talk about that type of situation, but
Yeah, all in due time, but it's on the
exactly.
list.
Awesome, man. That's really cool. And yeah, the E36, just kind of going back to that, it's if you haven't won one, you won't understand. It's as simple as that. It's a lot like like the cars that we were just talking about, the Singer and the 930 and the 993. You have to actually own the car to understand. I remember when I was a lot younger, and I didn't, I wanted an E46. I remember when the E46 came out, it was launched in Laguna Seca Blue, my favorite all-time color for that car. Um, and I remember seeing it. I'm like, I was dying to get that car. I had a couple of buddies of mine. I had two friends that actually purchased. One got a silver convertible one, and the other one got it was like a tight. It was I forgot the name of the color, but it was a much darker metallic, like smoke gray color. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And he had that with the red interior. He put red angel eyes on it, dude. And the car didn't even need. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't need wheels. It did need wheels. Obviously, that car always needed wheels from day one. But even with the stock wheels and the stock suspension, just the red angel eyes and the red interior. Oh my god, that car was just sick. I love that car.
Well,
And both of them were SMGs though. So at the time it was okay because they were brand new. But we all know now that if you're gonna get an E46, you got to get a 6-speed. Don't even think about getting an SMG because that will just you're just gonna blow all your money on the pump. Um,
that the purchasing the SMG is actually a great bargain right now because it's pretty much the only way you can get an E46 M3 at a decent price.
Correct. Yeah, you get one like that, and then you do a 6-speed manual.
Yep, that's what I did with mine. I swapped it over. It was
Oh, you
an
did. So yours
SMG.
was an SMG. Okay.
Yeah, it was an SMG car. I think I put a whole like 1,200 miles on it
Okay.
before the SMG pump died.
Yeah, it took a shit. Fuck. It sucks because I mean the problem is that it was a very well engineered system for the time. It's just that people drive them, and I don't know if BMW just did maybe incorporate. You tell me. You probably know a little bit better than I do. Why would you say that those pumps go? Why do they go bad so fast? What is the problem with them? Because I never really looked into like understanding what was it that the mechanicals of why they were
Well,
just take a shit after like 80, 70,000 miles.
So the most common part that fails or causes that complete failure is there's an accumulator that holds all the pressure that the pump generates, and
Okay.
that accumulator will begin to leak.
Okay. So it starts losing pressure.
Yeah. So
Now,
that's
are we
that's
talking? Sorry, Justin, I don't want to interrupt you. Just I wanted to understand something. Is this accumulator? Is it while you're switching gears? Is it while you're changing the the levels of how fast the transmission? The fact that you can control that with the SMG system, that you can control how fast or how excuse me, how hard or how soft the transmission actually switches gears.
yeah. I mean, the higher you, so the SMG has 6 settings.
Correct.
One through six, six being the most aggressive shifting
Right.
characteristics. And the higher you turn those settings, the higher the pressure is going to be. So there's always going to be more stress on the system that way.
Right.
Also common for those is to have issues with the temperature sensors or the gear position sensor. And you know, mine failed sitting in stop and go traffic.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah, on a 2-lane road at that. So I was blocking
Shit.
everybody.
Not good situation. And
They kind of just go when they want, and when that accumulator starts to go, you'll notice, because the same way when you turn your key on a car, sometimes you'll hear the fuel pump prime.
yeah, correct.
The SMG pump primes the same way when you turn the key on.
Okay.
So you'll
start
to
hearing
hear
it
a car
to like
always,
not do its job.
well, it'll start to prime for a really long time because the pressure is escaping.
Right. Okay. So that's a good way of noticing if it's starting to happen. That's a good tip. A really good.
Yeah, and then the easiest fix for the most common SMG issue, which everyone who drives an SMG that would be listening to this, they'll know about the salmon relay. And every guy that drives an SMG E46 M3 has a spare salmon relay sitting in their glove box.
What is it? A relay that they'll just blow like left and right, and then.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Wow, that sucks, man. I never, and then usually this is something. So, for example, do you get a lot of people coming in with like E46 M3 SMGs wanting to just swap out the entire system and do a 6-speed, or wanting to actually repair? Because I think the pump is like $6,000, right?
I think if you list price from BMW, it's probably something like that, or at least like 2,500 ish.
Yeah.
I don't, but there's companies out there that are building remanufactured units, and
nice.
You can get it done much cheaper than that.
Of course.
But I'd say the market now is moving more towards people just wanting to ditch the SMG.
Oh no, for sure.
Just because of the resale value is so different.
100%. I mean, there's no point in why spend all that money when you could basically, for almost the same price, just get a whole 6-speed conversion. Why would you do anything less than that?
Right, and there's some tricks to doing the conversion that make it much cheaper than it can be.
Okay.
Because physically, the two transmissions in the SMG and in the regular 6-speed cars are the same.
They are.
They're the same transmission. The SMG cars don't have detent springs, which are what center the shifter.
Correct. Yeah, I know. On the E36, I had an issue with the detent spring, so I know all about that.
Yeah.
So so it's a get rag. It's a 6-speed get rag that's just basically. I mean, I've never even looked at one.
Yeah, it's literally exactly the same. Okay. So what you do is you buy a self-centering shifter that has the springs built into it, similar to like CAE makes one, RTD makes them. There's a bunch of companies that make these racing style shifters. They're mostly like when you see the cars have the really tall shifters.
Yeah.
Those are usually the self-centering shifters, but they make them with handles that are normal height also. They don't all have to be that giant.
Right.
And once
it's nice to have the shifter. It's nice to have it right there next to the steering wheel. It's actually pretty awesome to, especially for drifters, and most drifters I know they would go with that setup. But even for proper autocross or track racing, you'd want that.
Yeah, it's nice because your hand is right next to the wheel.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not a long travel to get to it.
You can kind of pretend you got a Carrera GT for about 5 seconds. No, I'm joking. But dude, that's crazy. So then you've had a lot of, I'm sure you've had a lot of people just come up with SMG cars and say, hey, look, can you do the conversion? And I'm sure you've obviously done that for your customers.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more common just because, like I said, the resale value is substantially different.
Right.
And just less headaches overall. And not a lot of people want to get into doing it.
Right.
So it does require coding all the modules in the car, different software flashing for the, for the DME, in addition to like the obvious hardware changes like the pedal cluster and shifting mechanisms.
Right. And it's when you do it, is it do you have I'm sure you already have a formula down. What do you charge for it?
So
people, anybody listening that might say, "Oh, shit, I'll go to Justin, I'll go to the shop to do it."
That can really vary.
Okay.
Because there's, like I said, there's a couple different ways you can do this conversion. Okay. The cheapest way is doing the self-centering shifter, like I told you.
Okay.
The other two ways require either removing the transmission, because with the self-centering shifter, you don't have to remove the transmission.
Okay.
Removing the transmission and either having the SMG transmission machined to accept the detent springs.
Right.
And I think there's a little bell housing change that they do also.
Okay.
Or buy a regular 6-speed and put that in.
Okay. But
so
the
it
range
can
is
range. I'd say probably, if you paid $3,500 to get it done, I think you did pretty good.
Okay. So from there to up, probably to like 445, 47.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes down to how much are you paying for the transmission.
Right.
Those 6-speed get rags are getting pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Especially since guys figured out that it's the same transmission that the Toyota Mark IV Supra uses.
Right. Right. Yeah, they'll just go to a Supra junkyard and probably get them from there instead of, getting from a BMW junkyard that'll charge you just that much more because you're in a BMW junkyard.
Well, you'd be surprised because guys are interchanging these transmissions now, and all the values is you put the everyone 2JZ everything, right? 2JZ is gone, blah blah blah.
Crazy. It's the new LS2. It's like the new LS swap.
Yeah,
getting crazy.
Exactly. So all those prices are inflated. So the transmissions, I don't even know what the market is on them now, but I'd say you're going to pay at least $2,500 for a 6-speed.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Well, so we'll go on to the next. We'll finally kind of switch gears here. No pun intended. We'll talk about. So you did actually ask me favorite projects. Actually, that's a good question for you, but we'll go real quick to me. As far as the cars, actually, we can just cover. I mean, I kind of mentioned it. Yeah, I mean, I'd say that out of all the cars I've ever had, I've never had an E46, which really sucks. I've always wanted an E46. That's actually one of the cars I'm trying to get into now. And it's funny. I just had a conversation this past week. This really cool guy named Van. Van owns he probably owns in the U.S. the most perfect exampled replication of the Need for Speed Most Wanted GTR.
That's awesome.
Which is pretty fucking cool. Yeah, like I was like, and that's kind of the whole thing. Like I always wanted, like I mentioned, if I get an E46, it's got to be LSB. But there's one exception, and that's the exception. If you can get a really good E46 and you go ahead and do you actually do the proper Need for Speed conversion, Most Wanted conversion, and it's not cheap. The body kit is there's several body kits out there. There's only one that's actually the accurate one, which is from the actual GTR, the actual racing GTR, the car that BMW actually produced, which was the E46 M3 GTR. Not an easy thing to get your hold of, and you're going to spend easy for the real live like race car version of it. I think it's 10,000 plus. He actually even contacted. Oh, and then just talking about Need for Speed Most Wanted, I was actually on a phone call with Habib, which was the producer on Need for Speed. That was a really cool phone call. We went through some different, talking about projects. We went through some different conversations about something that I want to involve him on. because I'm trying to. I think me and you, Justin, we spoke about that briefly when we first talked. That I'm interested in wanting to do these amazing episodes, and I'm sure people listening, if you're a BMW person, you are a guy or a girl, you have to know about the BMW films. Um, Something that I've been wanting to work on for a while now and putting together is actually recreating those BMW films, but in a completely different format. Because I would never want to just, I don't want to just copy it. I would never do that. That would be very inauthentic, and I would never want to do that. I want to actually recreate them in a really amazing way where the point of the recreation would be that we would build specific cars first. All the builds would be made, and then those builds would actually have episodes that they would belong to, that that they would have to. The car itself is the episodes are gonna be built around the cars that we would be building for, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were thinking about even doing. I contacted Van, and I'm hoping he's actually hopefully gonna make the trip. He has to check his calendar to see if he's gonna be able to make it, but he might be able to make it. He said that the car's actually be on service. His car is actually a SMG as well, and now they're gonna be doing a track version of it, which is really fucking cool. That's gonna be like the 100,000,000% almost exact replica, because the car he has right now is a street car. It can't have like it's not going to have a full blown
cage,
right? A full blown cage and a straight cut gearbox, a racing gearbox. But that's what he's going to build the race car version for. So that's going to be pretty awesome. So obviously I had to get him involved, and he said he was all for it. He says that would be a fantastic idea. So we might have the Need for Speed Most Wanted GTR, his car, at the show, at the event. We'll see about that if he can make it. If not, it'll be for a next event that we'll be planning, down the line. But going back to the GTR and the Most Wanted GTR, man, that car has got such a cold following. And I was talking to Habib, I'm like, dude, like I think everybody that ever played that game knew that whoever produced this, whoever was involved of picking the car and wanting to understand what their car they were going to use as the hero car, I think we can all agree that whoever this person was a major car guy, and obviously BMWs. And when you make that car, when you do that, when you put a wide body in an E46 or an E36, you really do give it that next level performance that it can push. You could really go above 1,000+ horsepower if you're going to be doing a drag car or even a track car. That's all it really needs, because the suspension geometry in these cars, people just don't understand how ridiculous these things were over-engineered. And I think you could agree, Justin, this is one of the reasons why older BMWs, everything I'd say from the F50 down, and not even that, I'd say probably the real drivers BMW started dying after the E90, the E90, E92.
Yeah, that might even be a stretch.
That might be even a stretch. Even that is a little bit like, that they introduced the 4-liter. I don't have a problem with the 4-liter. I think a lot of people had a problem accepting it, excuse me, when it was first introduced. But you kind of have to go back to the history of why they did that. The reason that GTR that we were talking about, the E46 M3 GTR, that car actually had a 4-liter V8 as well. Mm-hmm. That was one of the reasons why they transferred and decided, we're going to finally go into a V8, a high revving, high compression V8. And it sounds fucking awesome. And it makes great power, 400 horsepower plus. It made easy, I think close to 400 pound-feet of torque, or a little bit, I think a little under that, 380, 370. I might be a little bit off of my numbers because it's been a long time since I checked them, but it's around that amount. The only thing that I think that fucked up the E92 was it's the size and proportion. It started to get bigger. And that's what we're talking about. I think that's one of the biggest problems with a lot of manufacturers. I've talked about this on the podcast before. Just cars have just gotten way too fucking big. Like, this is stupid. Yeah. And
the E92, I think, is going to be the next BMW gen.
E46, E36, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's probably going to be it's between, to me, the E46 and the E92 as to which one will be the most valuable BMWs ever. Because they're just, like, the E30 is cool, whatever, they're okay. E30s don't really wow me. But,
they don't. You're going to piss off a lot of people, a lot of E30 guys out there.
I know, but you know what? I'm going to say it right now. And I'm going to say it for my buddy Ryan. M20s suck that come in the regular E30s. That's 14, obviously, and the M3 is awesome.
Yeah.
But like today's standards, they're not really that.
It's not
the chassis suck. Like there's so much E30 hype and the E36 and E46 are literally better than an E30 in every single way. Like,
Correct.
there's not one way that you're ever going to tell me that an E30 is better.
Yeah, and that's correct.
And I think they look great. I think they're cool. I have always wanted one. I think they're really cool looking cars if you want an old car, but save the whole E30 is the best car ever made thing, because that's
right. It's questionable, and I agree with that as well.
And that's why I think the E92 M3 being the last naturally aspirated M car,
right.
I think that will be the pinnacle of it all. I think that's the one that's going to skyrocket in value one day. So if you have an E92 M3, I'd say, keep it, put it, if you're thinking about getting rid of it, don't put it in the garage.
Right. And don't sell it or don't short yourself on selling it now. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think that you have a very good point in saying that, and it's totally true. And I mean, I have driven E92s, and there's a guy, Matt, in California. I reached out to him, but I gotta see about. He's in California. He did the craziest fucking build. He twin turboed an E92, and it's Laguna Seca blue. And it's not painted Laguna Seca blue. He got it from the factory, Laguna Seca blue. So it's an individual car. That was one of the reasons why I reached out to him. Dude, the car's got 1,000 horsepower, and the fucking that V8, because it's a high compression V8, obviously. It literally sounds like a Koenigsegg. I know how crazy that sounds, but if you compare the engines, it's very similar size. The engine in the Koenigsegg for a long time. Actually, people don't know this, and people are probably gonna be like, "Yeah, that's fucking bullshit." But go look it up. So I don't know if you know this, Justin. Koenigsegg's, for a while, before they went into the 5-liter version of the V8, they had believe it or not, this is crazy. I remember because I had the Terminator, and when I found out about this, I couldn't believe it. He was actually using Koenigsegg. I don't know if this Christian's going to kill me for saying this, but Christian was actually they were using. So there was a full illuminator block that a lot of Mustang guys would know about this, and Cobra guys would know about this, that you could literally get from a junkyard. This is like a very well-kept secret. Fuck, I'm just going to say it anyways. Out of a Lincoln Mark 8, if you could find a 98 to 99 Lincoln Mark 8, they had full illuminator blocks that were made by a company called Texit. Texit was a company, a V8 company, a motor-producing company that was making V8s for Ferrari, specifically Formula 3 V8s for Ferrari. And they had a contract with Ford for, I think it was 2 years, where they were making these illuminator blocks that were good for 1,500+ horsepower. And they were full aluminum. Yeah. And so you could literally pick one of these things up at a junkyard for $100, as long as you can find a Lincoln Mark 8. So a lot of people didn't know this. That's why the 99 Mustang, the Cobra, before it got the supercharger on it, there was, I think it was 6 months. It was in the middle of the year that they got a batch of these Texit blocks. And then the rest got I think it was either the cast iron block that ended up going into the first generation Cobra, the 2001 to 2004, was it? 2003 to 2004, I think it was? Or 2002 to...
That's what I have sitting here in the shop now, the twin turbo Mustang that I mentioned earlier.
Oh, it's a Terminator?
It's not a Terminator. It's a 2001 New Edge, but it has the 4-valve illuminator motor swap.
Yes.
Yeah,
it does. Awesome.
Aluminum swapped into it.
Fucking awesome.
High compression. It's on a Mega Squirt standalone twin precision turbos. It's really cool.
Is the car being you're building it, or is it already almost done?
So this car was already built, but it was built a really long time ago.
Okay.
So it's got 26,000 original miles on it.
Dude, that's a low mileage for that car.
Yeah, and this guy bought it, and it's actually, the body is a Saleen clone.
Oh, nice. I had a Saleen as well. I had a 01.
Yeah, they're cool cars. Like I know a lot of people aren't New Edge Mustang fans, but I think they look okay.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. That we're just talking about this, and you have one there in your shop.
Yeah. It was built a while ago, so we're kind of refreshing a lot of things on it. The fuel lines and stuff that were used way back when aren't so E85 friendly, and there's better options now. So we're replacing a lot of different little things here and there, but for the most part, like it's a time capsule,
right?
And it's still fast. It's still very fast.
Oh no, and they're great cars. I mean, well, I'll take that back. They had good engines, good transmissions, and they were, they were the new Mustang. But to say it's a good car,
Yeah,
I don't
I
want
mean
to. I
it's
don't want to kill
still
anybody. I don't want to. I don't want to kill the Mustang. The lovers and the Ford. But I'm sorry, guys. I had one, and I can't talk shit. I had one. I had one for almost 8 years. The Mystic '04 Cobra that I had. Um, and it's just what killed me on that car was two things. The design of the car itself was very questionable when it first came out. They kind of tried to do a sharp lined, less less flowing lines on the Mustang, and it was just it was in the middle of when they were trying to finally figure out what they were going to do for the future, which was the retro style that we finally all fell in love with, and I think they hit it out of the park with that one. But sorry, Justin, what were we going to say?
No, I was just gonna say, like with American cars, at least up until the, 2010s, the quality just wasn't really there in any way. But these new Mustangs are so good, and I hate it because I could never make myself buy one. Like I've gone to the dealership before and test drove one, and I'm like, this is so great, and then gone and bought a BMW the next day because I've just said I just couldn't make myself do it. But they're so good now.
But let me tell you, why, sir? One of the reasons why they drive. One of the reasons why you actually thought it drove good.
Well, I'm not even talking about the driving. I'm just talking about even the interior.
The car overall. Yeah.
Yeah,
the interior. Yeah. No. They are. They finally got it. I mean, they finally got it right. They had to finally. Thank you after like fucking 50 years. Thanks. Thanks guys. Finally got your shit together. I appreciate that. I mean, the Shelby GT350R and the Shelby GT350. That is literally the car to buy. I think that's. Because the Shelby GT500 now, the Cobra, fucking automatic only? No, sorry, I don't want it.
It's a DCT.
Yeah, DCT. No, thank you. I don't want it. I mean, it's just stupid. I think it's retarded. I get the push for it, and we could all sit here and have the two sides. No, fuck you. Manuals are always be the shit. No, fuck you. You're an idiot because you're not gonna go faster. We get it, guys. There's two camps, and this will go on for a long time. But I think that the industry right now is pushing for this DCT transmission, just like we're seeing the push for electric cars. And there's a reason why companies like Singer, and I'm trying to think of other companies. There's even companies right now that are coming up. I don't know the name of them, but there's a couple here in the U.S. that will actually swap out the Ferrari's DCT transmission for a manual, for a 6-speed manual. There's a huge want, and there's a reason why most Ferraris, pretty much anything with a manual right now, is going up in price, like skyrocketing, especially Ferraris. So, there's a reason for that. It's because of the push that we're probably seeing. I mean, we are kind of seeing the death of the manual. The Corvette, the Chevy Corvette, the C8, Chevy with that, and Ford with the Shelby GT500 Cobra. Them pushing this, sorry, we're not going to offer a manual, not even giving you the option. It's just solidifying what we're talking about.
They should learn from Porsche.
Well, yeah.
With the GT3, they got rid of the manual for a while.
Yep. But they had to bring it back.
They had to bring it back.
Yeah, they brought it back now for the 991.2 and the 992, and they really fucked up there with the Cobra R, the 911R. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going crazy. The 911R, they really messed up there. That's a other conversation that maybe we could have on the second podcast, but because now we're kind of straining. But what I was trying to say was, so the E92, back to what we were talking about, that E92, whatever that guy is, I gotta reach out to him. I wish I would have saved his the handle so I could have said it out here. You guys could look it up, but we'll do it on the second podcast. I'll put it up on the details of the podcast. Dude, go look at this fucking thing. It's 1,000 horsepower and it sounds like a fucking Koenigsegg, and it's an E92. It's sick. So I actually reached out to, I'm actually having reached out to him to come to the show. I'm going to actually reach out to him again, just talking about it. I just reminded myself that I got to invite him to see if maybe he can bring the cards to the show, because he has, without a doubt, I think, in my opinion, the most ridiculous, most insane, most badass E92 I've ever seen in my entire life, ever built. Twin turbo built. This is the guy. And think about it. Twin turbo E92s. Right, Justin, you tell me how many you've ever even heard of.
I mean, that's probably the second one or third one I've ever heard of.
Exactly.
So, and they probably all came from the same shop. There's a different guy that I knew that actually owns a BMW forum. That I think the shop's name is Gentani. Actually,
I know Gentani. Yeah, I've heard of him. I reached out to him as well. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, they actually developed the kit, I think, and did all the tuning for it, which I think was the hard part
Also,
of it all.
yeah, it was. That was Gintani's build then.
Yeah, and there was this guy named Joseph
Okay.
that
Wow.
I
Yeah,
think he had the
Gintani's
first one or second one.
Gintani's fucking dude. He's the go-to guy right now as far as tuning in California. And if you want a flame-spitting, fire-breathing, most insane, badass tune for your supercars or hybrid, it's like he's tearing it up. He's kicking fucking ass.
Yeah, they have a nice operation going. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, you have guys like DDDE, excuse me, Damien going over there and raving about it, obviously, and doing all the videos with him. And then I mean, I actually reached out to him as well to tell him about the show. He said that he was gonna figure it out. I haven't heard back from him. I know how busy he is. So it's been it'd be fantastic. I told him, I'm like, dude, if you can come down and you have the time, which he probably doesn't, but if you do and you want to bring your customers, please, more than welcome to. Like every day he's putting out. The other day I saw one with an SVJ where it was a blue SVJ, so fucking ripping, dude, just down the street, just down the road, just easily, like, and just spitting. I mean, the flame throwing tune that he does is just so sick. I mean, it's something that I think a lot of tuners have known about, but in recent years with the popularity of YouTube and people actually doing this to their supercars and wanting to, have like dragon breathing fucking supercar tunes, he kind of made it. I think he's one of the main guys here in the US that has made it mainstream. It has made it pretty famous.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many phone calls we get of people asking for like flames and crackle tunes. Like some people don't even want a tune if their car is not going to make that.
It's not going to. Yeah, that's just stupid. But I'll tell you this: the crackle tune has gotten way. I don't know what the fuck happened.
It's out of hand. It's out of hand.
Oh yes. I mean, especially with the M2s. Oh, dude, it sounds fucking stupid. It sounds like your shit is. It sounds like the engine needs a fucking tune.
Well, the annoying part is that they're coming like that from the factory. And that's where the fad started.
Yes, I know. And then people are like, "Oh, I want that times 10." It's like, no, you don't. This is stupid.
It's like the same thing happened a few years ago. There's a phenomenon called ghost cam, and it's when these guys with Mustangs figured out that if you change the overlap on the variable valve timing, you could make a car sound like it had big aftermarket camshafts in it.
Correct. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that became a thing too. And I had, people with 6-cylinder BMWs coming and asking me for ghost cam tunes on like a 6, Right. It's like, bro, it's just going to sound like it's misfiring. Like, is that really what you want?
Yeah, exactly. Really, yeah. It's like trying to educate people on like, hey, dude, seriously, you want your car to sound like it's misfiring? Yeah, man, I do. It's cool.
Yeah, hey, the customer is always right.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. I think you know much better than that, right?
I try not to do any of those sorts of
stupid shit.
Things. Yeah, I try to educate because if I can make them see my way a little bit, fine. If not, then hey, it's on them.
Right, but I think because I've experienced a similar, actually exactly the same thing you just talked about in the wheel industry, in the forged wheel industry, and man. There's so many stupid people out there. That's just what it comes down to. There's just a lot of stupid people. I'm sorry, guys. That's just the truth. A lot of people just don't understand what they're looking at. And I totally, I'm not, you know what? I'm going to go out on a leg here. The other day I saw a video. I guess Wheels Boutique got some new representative. She's pretty cute girl, out there doing their multimedia. And they were interviewing some fucking nerd in an M2, and oh my god, this fucking car sounded like it sounded like the I can't even come up with words. It just sounded like shit. It was just the crackle pop, garbage exhaust times a million. And it's just, I mean, you get up to it even started, it wasn't even doing it in the right RPM range. Instead of doing it on the blowback, like when the car's revving, RPMs are coming down, and maybe doing it for a couple RPM, it was doing it from the second he would have let off the accelerator. It's just stupid. And probably
I'm going to tell you, these BMW computers actually have timers in them to where you can tell it how long to do that for.
That's so fucking stupid. Yeah, BMW has really lost their way. BMW, Justin.
I mean, the whole car culture has just taken like a very different turn. And I don't know if that's just me being an old guy now,
Right.
Um,
Well,
you know,
how old are you, Justin?
I'm not even that old. I'm gonna be 30 on Monday.
Come on, man. If you're old, that makes me a grandpa. I'm 37, man. Don't say
Uh,
that.
I'm old in my soul, my brain. I'm an
And you're
old soul, and I just the fads and stuff now. Like I was at the E85 station the other day, filling up the E46, and this kid in a F30, probably 2013, 2014, 320i, looks at me, floors it through the parking lot, crackles at me, and I look at the sticker on his car, and it says "I eat ass" on the side.
Wow.
And I like it's not the first time I've seen the sticker,
Fuck.
and I'm like,
No,
what
I know. Who the
what?
fuck would I know?
Yeah,
Hey,
like
man,
what you do is what you do. I don't care,
I
but like,
like, dude, really? You're putting it out there, huh?
I'm like, this
Yeah.
is like what and like I don't know. This is like a cool thing. There's a lot of cool things that I'm not really sure about right now.
Yeah. Well, they're not the cool thing, man. It's just these stupid, dumbass, fucking dumbass, retarded kids that are that stupid. They want to follow. They're followers. These are followers. Same thing with something I've been talking for a long time, is the Hella Flush crew and the Hella Flush community and the Hella Slow and the Lone Slow and yeah, I can't even get started on that. That'll be a different podcast.
Between them and the truck guys, the lifted truck guys, they are the racers from the early 2000s.
For sure.
Now,
Yes.
and they don't even know it.
And then they think that they're not, and it's like, yes, you are. Trust me.
You know what never goes out of style?
What? Being
going
stupid.
Fast.
Oh, going.
It's never gone out of style.
Going fast, street racing. I mean, people. I think people have a different perception of what street racing actually is from what they think it is and what it actually is. There's people street racing right now as we speak. There are hundreds of people as of right now speaking on this podcast. People are on the street setting up street racing or street races and street racing right now. Street racing will probably be with us forever, and I hope that this forever that I'm saying is not going to be diluted by all this electric push, because let me tell you, that's something that now in Europe, that's it. Volkswagen has stated by 2034, 32, they're not going to be making an internal combustion engine anymore. Remember, that's a very worrying fact, because you're talking about the same people that own, huge. Well, I mean, not that they own Porsche,
but everything.
Right. I mean, they're there with Porsche, Bugatti, and what's going to happen? Holy shit! By anybody listening to this, go to SEMA. I think it's on SEMA. It's all over SEMA. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. There's a new law that they're trying to ban race cars completely, forever.
Yep, I wanted to touch on that actually. I think that's a great topic we should discuss, because that's very current right now.
I'm glad I should have even written it and sent it to you. Yeah, it's if you guys go to, I know that SEMA, I signed my petition through John Zalingua, which is the owner of the Cars and Coffee in West Palm. If you want to go to his website, or his Facebook page, it's also up there. You can go to SEMA. I think SEMA's has it, and I think you could probably look it up. And I just don't even know. Do you know, Justin? Do you know the name of the bill?
It's called the RPM Act.
That's what it is. The RPM.
That's what SEMA's pushing for, is a bill called the RPM Act.
Right.
Because all the rules that we have right now have been in place, and they just haven't been enforced. Now they're being enforced.
Right. And that's a scary thought for everybody listening and everybody in the car community. I don't care if you're the Hella Flush people. This includes you too. And that fucking dumbass driving the eat my ass fucking. I mean, anybody who fucking puts a decal. Listen, you know what this is, Justin? You know what it reminds me of? Remember the fucking shocker shit? That fucking stupid dumb.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I mean, it's almost the same thing, just even worse. Because that was a drawing of like the one of the. I mean, come on, like what the fuck? Like what the fuck is going on? But go ahead. Sorry.
The world's crazy. Ending, man. I'm convinced of it. But
it's sad, is what it is.
The RPM Act is very important, because the way the laws are written with the EPA now, it doesn't allow any avenue for someone to convert a car into a race car.
Right.
So
bullshit, by the way.
So what that means is if you have a car that came with a VIN number, there is no way you could ever turn it into a race car, ever.
Right.
no matter
And
what.
that means that every single person who's ever modded a car, even with an intake, is included into this.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
unless you're buying, and that's kind of one of the changes that we've made is, if we're doing performance stuff,
Mhm.
it's got to have a carb EO number now. That way we're emissions compliant.
wow.
It's just how it has to be now.
But wait a minute,
The
this is in Florida though. That you're I mean, obviously you're in Florida. I thought that was only for California and New York that had like smog emission regulations.
so the EPA has adopted CARB standards, which is
Uh-huh.
California. But all the EPA ruling is federal. So even though we don't have emissions testing in Florida,
Right?
it's still a federal
You have
offense
to
to
abide by
tamper
it.
with emissions components. And that includes software tuning as well.
So
That's
then
why you
how
see a lot of these companies like we use HP
off-road use
tuners a
only?
lot.
Off-road use only.
No, that's not even your safe haven anymore.
Really?
Because they're holding uh, builders or parts manufacturers liable for what people are doing with their parts. It's like saying
Oh,
that
that's
we have
fucking
to
crazy.
sue a gun or bullet manufacturer if somebody shoots
If
somebody.
someone shoots somebody, that's fucking
And
crazy.
there's no way we can guarantee. And we've always had the waivers and off-road use only,
Right.
uh,
Loophole.
signage. But the fact is, it doesn't mean anything. So the
Wow.
only real safe way is to just not do it. It's too much of a liability.
Right.
I think it's like $10,000 fine or something crazy like that to remove a catalytic converter.
That's so
Um,
fucking crazy, man. This is
yeah,
Nazi town shit. This is
it's why
wow.
take that chance?
Right.
Um,
That's
I,
crazy, man.
and in the past couple months, there's been shops that I don't want to use the word raided, but they've had knocks at the door randomly from the EPA showing up to check all the cars in their shop and
Holy
read off their
shit.
OBD2 to see if the emissions ready checks are there. Um,
So this is something that they're already putting. So how are they even getting away with doing any? I thought that was what we were all fighting about with this bill. I mean, it sounds like it's
well,
already being enforced.
it is being enforced, and it started to be enforced in probably like 2015. And it was mostly just the diesel guys before all these guys that started rolling coal.
Right.
Um, they brought the wrong attention, even though rolling coal like doesn't really do anything, compared to a regular car. It just looks bad, and people
Right.
can't deal with things that look bad. It brought awareness, or what I should say is it brought awareness to people who would never
I
really
never heard
think
about it.
about it
Right.
otherwise. Um, and now they've just
Fuck.
moved it over into the gas cars, and their reasoning behind it is that there's so many cars in the US that the majority of air pollution produced by the US
Yeah.
is car pollution.
Right. Which is bullshit. But
Yeah, and it's dumb because I can bring you a car here that's tuned on E85
right.
and it'll pass emissions.
Exactly.
Like it'll pass the sniffer test,
Right.
but it's still,
Yeah. They're
tampering
they're
and you
trying to
can't
get
do it.
away. Well, for them, I think they're looking at it like always with everything that has to do with government regulation. It's just a big fucking fat check, and they're just trying to figure out who they can target and how much money they can make out of it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's.
Yeah,
I
and it
mean,
comes down to like, I feel like they're gonna end up doing something like what they've done with guns. Like if you
right.
want a suppressor, you need a tax stamp.
Correct.
And I feel
Yeah.
like they're gonna try to make us get a tax stamp for modifying our car or
Can
something.
you imagine, man, all the shops that probably wouldn't even be able to afford that right now? Or how many, imagine COVID. Look what COVID did for the restaurant business. Look what this would do the same thing for the entire auto industry in the world, like in the US, in the world.
Yeah, and if you look around, you'll see that most of the companies are not have discontinued the sale of a lot of their off-road use only products.
Wow. I had no idea about that. I mean, it's been a while
It's
since I've been on a
yeah, and this is all like really really recent, like in the last couple weeks that a
right.
lot of these changes have occurred.
And I mean, besides everybody signing this petition to completely abolish this and go against it, what else can we all do to? I don't. I mean, I haven't dove into it as much because I thought it was just something that was in the background. I had heard about the RPM bill And there was a couple of other ones that, like you said, back in 2015, I kind of heard about it and think, rounds were being, and back then, even 2015, which was only 6 years ago, social media wasn't as powerful, as connected as it is today and as fast. So I remember I signed it and then it kind of went away and I was like, all right, I think we won that battle. But now when I heard about it again, I'm like, what the fuck? This thing's back?
Yeah, so what the RPM Act does is it opens up an avenue for people to convert their cars into a race car. It kind of clarifies the
bill,
the wording of the current law.
Wording, yeah.
So,
is there anything else we can do?
I mean, I don't think so. I think the real key is adaptation. I think we have to adapt, and it's not the first time this kind of stuff has happened. If you look in history, to the 1970s when we had all the fuel crisis, cars got really lame.
Yeah,
we had the awesome cars of the 60s, early 70s, and then fuel crisis, really lame cars for about 10, 15 years, and then now stuff is awesome again. So it's all a cycle.
Well, remember the XJ220 kind of suffered, I think was one of the cars in the 90s that really suffered that immensely.
Well, yeah, because that car was around like right after a recession. Or like what was it, a Black Friday or Black Monday or Black Friday or whatever it was when the market tanked, right? Yeah,
it was a recession, and I remember they were talking about. I mean, I've seen now, especially the XJ220 has come to a lot of light. Chris Harris, it was just on Top Gear again. They just compared it with the F40, and it was sick. It was such a disappointment. That car was really, and it was funny. They made a really good. It was the first time a lot of people have made now this point about trying to talk about the XJ220 as, hey, look, it's not as bad as you think it is. But I will tell you something. I've sat in that car. There's a place called here in Florida called Curated. It's owned by a guy by the name John Tamarian. He has been very famous for having 3 at a time sometimes at the location, which is ridiculous. You could usually, I never even seen one in my life. And then I saw 3 of them at his place, but I've known John for a while. And let me tell you, man, it's scary to think that car could have been probably what it should have been was the F40 and the F50. And maybe, I don't want to say it was going to be McLaren killer, what all. It was never going to give the competition. Nobody ever even came close to the McLaren F1. But it shows you what can happen when they were planning a V12 four-wheel drive, and then went from four-wheel drive, V12, fuck that, V6 from a Mondeo, and, just twin turbo it. And I mean, that's basically what had happened. Never got the four-wheel drive system. It's a cool car. It looks absolutely stunningly, insanely crazy, amazing. But when you sit inside the car, I mean, it is very 90s, and it's got its very cool, amazing features to it and design. But in comparison to the F40,
yeah, you can't. The F40 is just, it's an F40.
Exactly. And it's just the way, I mean, both of them have different, obviously one's British, one's Italian, so they're going to have that. But yeah, that's crazy, man. Is there, sorry, I don't want to say it again, but so Justin, is there anything else that anybody else listening to this can, like I said, besides signing this petition, which is very important? I even sent it to a friend of mine in Germany who she's a race car driver. She didn't even know about it. So I was like, I'm like, hey, you have to sign this. She's been on the podcast as well. Laura Luft is her name. Very cool, very amazing person. She's beautiful, and she's out there racing, and she didn't know about it. I'm like, please sign it. So she's like, oh, thank you for sending it to me.
Yeah, and what I will say is this is going to affect everybody everywhere, because one of the most popular companies that sell reflashing devices for all the diesel pickup trucks,
like HP tuners.
It's a company called EasyLink. Is being sued by the EPA, and they're based in the Cayman Islands. So nobody is safe. So if you think it doesn't affect you, it does affect you.
Exactly. Yeah. So, if you're in the Cayman Islands and you're getting targeted, then you got that. I mean, you're not safe. Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe. So
what are they trying to go after them for? Like just the fact that they're putting out a product that obviously goes into the computer, the stock ECU, and gives you, sometimes it's like 200, 300, something 400 horsepower more, and sometimes like 500, 600 pound-feet of torque.
So the Easy Link is really only a flashing device
Right.
and like OBD2 monitor. Like you can clear codes or view
Right.
live data from the engine. Doesn't do
Okay.
anything else besides that.
Yeah, like
But
Diablo Sport, like we just mentioned, the HP tuners. Those are, I mean, they've been around for a while.
yeah, those are actual tuning platforms. The Easy Link is just the tool that makes it so you can flash the tune onto the ECU.
Okay, got you.
So I actually think Easy Link will probably win this battle.
Yeah, because they don't even have the software
Yeah,
built in when you plug it in. So yeah.
Although, like we said earlier, they are going after people saying that they're using their products not as intended and still punishing them. So it's, in my opinion, I think that's silly to hold EasyLink liable for people using their device to defeat emissions.
Right.
Adding that ability, they're not supplying that ability.
Right. Exactly.
But I mean, I think the name of the game is just adaption. When you go to modify your car and you're going to order your next part or whatever, I think that, that should be a thought in your mind. And
right.
I don't think they're ever going to go after the individual consumer like that. I know in California
they're going to go after the companies.
They go after, check your car with a mirror and stuff in California, pop the hood. That's California.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, I don't. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm from LA, guys, so I can say fuck California. California's fucked. I'm sorry, guys. You guys better all to move to Miami or Texas. So, and there's a shit ton of people that are doing that right now.
Yeah, a ton of them, because hopefully they just don't turn these places like California, or New York. Us being in South Florida, everybody's. I used to work in Boca in wealth management. We used to joke around that our office was Park Avenue South.
Right.
Everybody was from New York.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, even guys like big YouTubers like Alejandro from Salamandrin. He just made that move. He was like, "Fuck this! I'm getting the fuck out of California." He hasn't put out a video explaining why, but I think we all know why. And these are some of the reasons. And he went from California to Texas. So he's already set up in Texas, and it sucks. It sucks that California. I mean, I grew up there. I used to go there on the summers when I was a kid. I hadn't been there since I was 14, but it was such an amazing place. And car culture there is literally I'd say in the United States, there's a couple of meccas. Miami, I would say was, Florida is definitely one of them, but California was king. And I think what we're going to see is a huge move from California. People are probably going to go to Texas. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention Texas. Texas, yeah, you guys are in there as well. And people are just going to go, like, forget California. If you're a car enthusiast, if you're a car culture person, if you're in car culture, you're probably going to end up wanting to get the fuck out of California and go to Texas or Miami or Florida. So,
yeah, and speaking of which, this week is Texas 2K, I believe.
Texas 2K, that's right.
Yeah,
what's going on? I wish I could be there again. Another failed opportunity to go to fucking Texas. But it's next year. Maybe we could plan a trip together, Justin. We'll get together and we'll get a bunch of amazing Fastly. Yeah, but that's the thing. Just to go to Texas 2K, just if you want, not forget about winning. If you want to just go to compete against some of the slowest guys there, you need like now 1,600 horsepower.
Yeah, if your car doesn't trap at least 160, don't even show up.
Don't even bother.
Like,
and the street racing, like 2,000, 1,700 horsepower now is the norm.
Can I tell you what's so impressive to me right now?
Tell me.
Is Calvo Motorsports.
Oh, Calvo.
And the new
I was
Vipers
just thinking about it when you were saying it. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, Calvo there, dude. 22 now, 2,400 horsepower.
No, 3,000.
3,000.
It was like 3,000 something, almost 3,100 that they brought to Texas 2K this year.
A street car, man. In a car you can go.
And it hooks. And it hooks.
Yeah. It's well, listen, you know what they are? Calvo, I think, took the formula that underground racing has had for now 20 years. And they're like, what car can we do that's not an exotic? Well, technically a Viper, the Gen 5 is, but is not like, your typical Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, and Porsche. I don't really even consider Porsche exotics, but you know what I'm saying? Like Lamborghini and Ferrari, obviously, that they use. And what can we do, and how far can we take it? And I think Calvo has been that company that has taken that formula and applied it to one of the most badass fucking street cars I think, ever made in the history of American street cars. American, it's not a muscle car, obviously, but a supercar.
Yeah.
Really, the Viper is a supercar.
Yeah, and from the American camp, they haven't really had anything doing awesome stuff since the Ford GT.
Since the Ford GT, right? And
yeah,
then
and
the
that
new
used
ones,
to be the amazing one. And the new
right?
ones, whatever. We
I mean, the
don't
new
even. That's
V6
not even a
turbo
mention.
boost. Just the fucking come on, Ford. I mean, thanks Ford for going out there and winning Le Mans. Okay, I get it, Le Mans. Thank you. That was awesome. Le Mans, however you guys want to say it. Obviously, Le Mans pronounced perfectly, properly. But I felt it from the day that I saw that car. And I'm not saying if you have one, guys, that you should feel like I'm talking shit about your car. I'm not, because it is fucking an amazing engineered, ridiculously. I mean, it's a supercar. You're really getting for the price that everybody paid for it. It's pretty amazing because it could go against some of the hypercars out there. Well, not even close to some of the most most of the supercars and beat close to some of the hypercars out. Cool, awesome. But you know what? V6 and turbo. It does sound very good for a V6 and turbo. Not gonna talk shit.
As good as it can.
As good as it can. But imagine, I think that Ford had all the money in the world to throw, to have probably made the smallest litered, high compression V8 that could have weighed just as little as the V6. And the way I see it is, I know why they did it. They wanted to promote the shit out of the engine because they're going to put it in their Mustangs and they're going to put it in their fucking F-150 and they want to sell more. And that's why they did it.
And the truth is, it is a good motor. It is.
I can't talk shit about the engine, but it's just not what we want out of a fucking supercar or hypercar. It's just not, But but that's crazy, man. That's awesome. That's insane. Man, we're doing pretty good. We're at an hour and 17 minutes. We haven't even touched like 7 of the different things we were going to talk about. Well, we kind of have. We spoke. Let's get into the shop life because this is a good topic you brought up. So shop life, why we do it, goals, and how we do it. So I'll let you take that over completely.
Yeah, sure. I mean, why we do it. I mean, the funny thing was you bringing up Need for Speed today,
right?
Because. Yeah, I think Need for Speed Underground 2, Underground 1, but mostly Underground 2 was the game that changed my life.
Yes, I would say that's a correct comment. I think it changed a lot of our lives, for sure.
And I was obsessed with the free roam, and I was obsessed with the fact that you could go and tune your car. And I remember moving those little bars up and down and dynoing my car over and over again. And I think that's just kind of between that and racing go-peds with my buddies, like that's
dude, you had a go-ped?
Hell yeah.
No way, bro. Me too, man. I grew up with the sport, the sport and my a sport. Yeah, my friend had the Liquimatic and we were always fucking racing each other and he was always dude, I'd always get him out of the hole. And then after about like, I don't know, it was like 5 or 7 or 8 miles, he would get me because he had a clutch and he would actually get me on the long run at the lower end, and it was always a battle. Like we started, but that's awesome, dude. They had go for this fucking badass.
You needed that bigger spindle. You needed that 950 spindle.
I know. No, dude, it was are you kidding? That's one of the things anybody ever asked me about, like where did the inspiration? Obviously, I was into cars when I was a kid, a little, my first word that came out of my mouth was car when I was 3 years old, but that was one of the introductory things that I had as a toy to start fucking around with and start modding basically in the modding world. And that's awesome, man. How fast did you get yours to go?
Mine wasn't super fast because I had only it was a sport and it had like a 750 spindle on it, but it had an exhaust and carburetor. And
that's pretty much all you could do is the exhaust, carburetor, the intake, and you were pretty good.
Advanced the timing a little bit.
Yes.
So I think it did around 30.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, Justin. I was going to tell you, I had one not too long ago, like 10 years ago. I just bought one just to fuck around with. And dude, I did an 85 tune on it, and that fucking thing ripped.
Did it feel scary to ride? Because my buddy has a stock Sport that he sitting in his garage that he's supposed to bring over to the shop for us to mess with, and it probably goes all like 15 now that I'm adult sized, and I was like, okay, this is way too fast. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember. Because this was this was maybe more than 10 years ago, but it was pre like when smartphones were just getting into, they started to really evolutionize into like computers. And I never did a measure, but I do remember that I remember when I did the 85 tune and I messed around with the air fuel just to make sure everything was good. Because obviously you go a little too lean, you're going to blow that piston. It's a tiny little piston. And dude, I remember that I had never done so many wheelies in my entire life on a GoPed, except after I did the 85 tune. It was sick. It had so much low end torque. It was awesome, man. It was fucking awesome. That's really cool. So then, Need for Speed was your inspiration to just basically, want to do this as a profession.
Yeah, I mean that I guess that's where I figured out that that's where my passion was, and it's not the only job I've ever had. I've done like a bunch of like things that are like really not even related to this at all over the years, and this is like I've just always come right back to it. I started this company out of my garage when I was in college, and
wow,
used to do only software tuning and kind of grew from there.
That's very impressive, man. It's nice to hear when someone, builds their business from the ground up and not just giving everything to them and gets to say that they, are the best or whatever.
Yeah. It's, it's what I'll say is anyone can do it because I did it with $700.
Right. That's
and that's it.
There you go.
$700 and a lot of hard work and
exactly.
a lot of sacrifices everywhere.
Exactly. It's a little more than that. It's always the amount of energy you put into it is what you'll get out of it. But it's I'm sure there was a lot of struggles and a lot of times you were like, fuck, like, am I really doing the right thing? Or I get it.
Still is. There's still that day. A lot of people don't realize like what a business owner, like the sacrifices you have to make.
It's huge.
It's huge. I get paid after everybody else gets paid.
Of course. Yeah, it's the responsibility behind it. People, I think, are very short today to just say, "Oh yeah, fucking asshole!" Like you have all the money. It's like, hey, why don't you look see the lineage, the history of what that person went through?
Right.
Something I was talking about. I was just because I communicated with just this week. It was really funny. I put up a video on my YouTube on my Instagram. You guys can go check it out. There was some scammers, some 8080 scammers at 8088. Wait, is it 8080? No, it's 8080, right? Oh, fuck, I'm gonna get this wrong. It's 8080. It's that company that does the giveaways on Instagram. They're pretty huge. They have over, I think it's 780,000. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm going to look it up as we're talking. 780,000 followers right now. And they do amazing supercar giveaways, high-performance car giveaways. Very fucking cool. Like, you guys, hey, guys, if you're listening, awesome. You guys are awesome. Keep up the great work. And it was crazy, man. There was a fake account. Yeah, it's 8080. And this, man, I was so pissed off. This company that they have, this is a major problem that they're facing. Yeah, 739,000 followers exactly. And this fake account reached out to me. Now I kind of knew right from off the bat that they were fake, but I'm like, oh, maybe not, because they do have two other ones that are smaller pages. And I said, oh, maybe this is one of the smaller pages ones, but it didn't have the blue check mark. That's the number one thing, guys. Just look for the blue check mark. Now there are real accounts that don't have that blue check mark if they haven't gone through that process of wanting to put it out there that they are an official account. So they tried to, tell me, it was funny as hell. They were giving away an STI, a new one, which I don't really consider an STI. I call it the new Corolla. I want to be Corolla because that's what it looks like. So sorry, guys, if anybody loves that car, but I can't stand that. That's not an STI for me. Anyways, they were giving away that car with, I think, $40,000 or $50,000, $60,000. And it was funny. So Sunday they were going to announce, this was on, I think this was on a Friday or a Saturday that they reached out to me. And I think they announced the winner on Sunday. So they had yet to announce the winner. And they're like, oh, we've picked you randomly. And I'm like, yeah, right, okay. So I started to play around with them. Like, oh, really? Oh, I'm so interested. Yeah, here. And they're like, just send us your information. Here's our link and all this shit. So then at that point, I got pissed off and I said, fuck it. So what I did was I grabbed their info and just to make sure, just to double, triple check, I sent it to 8080, the real account. They said, no, those are scammers. Please don't give them any information. Thank you so much. If you can, cancel their page and report them, which I did. And literally the same hour, some other guy had reached out to me almost saying the same exact thing, saying that I had won $15,000.
These scammers now are relentless, and the COVID has brought them out in full force.
For sure. And people fall for it. There are people, unfortunately, stupid enough that just are, they just fall for it. They don't understand that hey, look, you have to triple check these things.
Yeah.
So he kept on telling me. Yeah, he kept on telling me, he's like, oh, there's this page, go look at this page. And I'm like, okay. And I said, wait a minute, the donate on the thing is that they sometimes they'll use real companies that are real on the IG page. to make themselves look real. But then when I went to the page, it was a real page, and it even had a donate button that worked. I said, listen, if you want, I'll make the donation. The whole thing was, you give us a donation of $100 and we'll give you the 15 grand. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sure, not a problem. I'll donate. And I went to the donate button. I sent him the link. I'm like, it's right here. He's like, no, it's under construction. It's not working right now. I'm like, dude, how fucking stupid do you think I am? Like, fuck off. Like, and I reported his ass too. Anyways, I made a small little video, screenshot of like a recording on a screen recording. And I'm going to send it to 88. They're going to actually post it on their page just to let people know, hey, look, guys, and the only thing they asked me is that I re-recorded because I was swearing at them. I was like, you fucking assholes, fuck you, you bitch motherfuckers, go fuck. Like, I went all crazy. And anyway, so they're like, please just no curse words because there's a lot of kids that follow us. I said, oh, that's fine. So I'm going to do that for them. But yeah, guys, don't fall for it. Do the checks. Just don't.
And when in doubt, PayPal for goods and services only. That way you have some protection. Like if somebody wants Cash App or Zelle or something, you already know that their intention is probably a little bit wrong.
Yeah. And these guys want a Cash App. They're like, oh, just give me $100 donation on Cash App. I'm like, right, sure.
Yep, that's the world has changed in that sense, and it's gotten much worse as you've seen. We don't even try to sell big dollar parts anymore because we've sold $6,000 turbo kits only to have people do chargebacks after getting signature verification that they received the package.
Wow.
And the credit card company doesn't care. They
don't care. They're like, oh, we're gonna give it back. It's like, are you stupid? We had a signature.
Right, and they don't care, and we lose out on the money, so we don't do big dollar sales anymore just because there's so much scammage like that. And I briefly mentioned earlier, I worked in wealth management for a while, and we I never forget. There's this elderly woman that had received one of those emails like, oh,
the Africa
email. Yeah, exactly.
You're royalty, and we have $100 million for you. Just give us 50,000.
Yeah, and Albert, she wanted to send all the money. She wanted to send $50,000.
Yeah, she didn't know.
And we couldn't talk her out of it. Had her talk to managers. They made her sign a bunch of waivers and everything, saying that like we've thoroughly warned you of this multiple times and had multiple people all the way up the chain tell you this is not real. Right. And she still wanted to send this money. Wow. And people every day, and it blows my mind. It's all these scam calls, all this stuff. It's like, how have people not figured this out yet? But it's still they're doing it for a reason. And that's because people are falling for it.
Right. Yeah, and they keep on trying, and you can't. I mean, you just can't fix stupid sometimes. I mean, I get it. Older people are harder to, but let me ask you a quick question, just because you mentioned that about the wealth management. Let me for the bigger items, did you ever try to see if you did, for example, like if you would do? I know it sounds a little crazy, but fuck it, you have DocuSign around now, and DocuSign's being used for, I mean, everything from $500 million deals to $10 deals, whatever. For serious stuff. If you think if you use DocuSign, do you think that where it explains that this person is purchasing this and there will be no chargebacks, do you think that would maybe help you to sell those bigger ticket items? Or you just want to try to stay away from it completely?
I don't even want to take the chance anymore because I've lost too much money.
Yeah, you've lost too much money. That's horrible to hear.
It's multiple times. Yeah. I think I've only won on a dispute.
I feel bad to hear that.
Yeah, I think I've only won on a dispute one time.
Wow. Yeah, they're just so worried that they maybe get sued. You think that might be it? Also, that they just have so much money in these departments that they just want to give away money to these scammers and they're getting away with it?
Well, I think the thing is they'd rather keep a happy customer when they should really care about me as I'm swiping their cards and, collecting fees for them. But because I talked to a person at one of the credit card companies, and I said, to me, you're aiding and abetting a criminal.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. And what was their answer?
They're like, no, we're not. I said, yes, you are. And at the end of the day, it's like, am I going to hire a lawyer to fight them to get a few $1,000s back?
Of course not.
Of course not. And they know that.
That's fucking assholes. I can't. Yeah, that type of stuff needs to change. I don't know how, but maybe, you know what? Just because, I mean, might as well mention crypto. Maybe crypto will help. I think that If there's anything that will come out of the whole crypto craze, not the craze, because the crypto industry is here to stay at this point. I think everybody is, sees what's going on, and I think blockchain could be the number one thing that will help for scams to stop, because it's the one thing that you really can't. It's one of those things you just can't. You can't manipulate the coding. Well,
Well,
technically you can.
I have a
But,
better idea. Here's our $1 million idea that I just thought of right now. You need
okay.
a true, honest to God escrow account, not a credit card company, someone
Right.
that's actually going to take the liability. And I guess that's kind of what PayPal does.
Right. That's
Um,
pretty much what. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, just don't do any transaction that's not with them. And
Right.
that's we only take PayPal now.
Right.
Uh, and
Really?
yeah, because PayPal's policy is that
Wow.
they will only let you ship to your billing address.
Right. You have to
And
have a
that's
billing
and that's
address. Right.
yeah, and that's my policy as well. If it's not going to your billing address, I'm not shipping it to you.
Wow. Well, that's a way of keeping you secure, keeping the business running. I mean, up and running, and not wasting money on other stupid situations. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Wow.
it's just adaptation. I got burned a
Adaptation.
couple times and I learned. I
Right.
don't want to get burned again.
No, 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 of course not. Well, that's fantastic. So that's the why. So yeah, that was a long why, right? But
Yeah.
so the goals, obviously, I think well, you tell me. Obviously, I have no idea what your goals are, but it looks like you've had some pretty high goals and you've met them all.
Yeah, I mean the end game. I think as we adapt, like we've talked about, the industry's changing. Emissions, whether we agree with them or not, they're going to play a bigger and bigger role
Right.
in everything that we do. And I think for us, and we've already started this because I saw this coming years ago.
Right.
Um, we've moved to more of a service and repair and maintenance model um, versus performance.
Wow.
We our business name is Boost Addictions, but at a more local level, we operate as Palm Beach Auto Care,
Nice.
and that's
Is it a
it's
DBA that you just
yep,
you
yeah,
added? Okay.
it's just a
Nice.
DBA that I added,
Smart.
and we've had to open our business to that regular sort of work, and
Nice.
which isn't a bad thing from a business perspective because there's
No, no,
just
no.
a lot more of it, and it's truthfully it's just much more profitable.
Yeah, yeah, and you're taking advantage of your position as what you're doing for the customer. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's great.
Right. So I think our goal here is to expand in the next 2 years into a space double the size we have now, which
Right.
now we have about 4,000 square feet. Um,
That's nice. That's a good size. I mean, you
yeah,
could
yeah,
fit
and
a good couple of number of cars in there.
yeah, all air conditioned.
Awesome.
Um, and I would like to expand it to have a few more bays. We need a dyno, but I
Right.
think when it comes to performance stuff, I think that's the big change is that if we're modifying cars that are older than 25 years old, they're
Hmm.
technically emissions exempt.
Right. So it doesn't matter.
So I think the move from that perspective is that we're going to be doing retro mod type things. I think
Right.
that's the direction that anyone who's in my business needs to be thinking about, which I know most people are modding older cars anyway, but they probably need
Right.
to be much older than what you think.
Right. Well, the
Um,
25 years
yeah,
is,
it's got to be the 25 plus.
right.
And I think that's what people need to start looking at. And the American car market has it down pat because
Right.
you can go to Ford and buy a Illuminator with a Ford control pack and ECM, PCM
Yep.
all together to just drop into anything you want. And
Yep.
GM has the same thing.
Yep.
And that's where the future of this industry is going, because the manufacturers are locking down the computer software
Correct.
so that you can't tune these cars,
That's correct.
and they're selling you these control modules. So as far as goals go, I think it's to expand further to a larger service model, but also um, maybe get into like more resto mod type things. But
Right.
also, personally, I'd like to open different businesses.
Right.
I think I've found a demand for something that's kind of small, but the demand is definitely there, and that's one of the biggest questions I get is someone comes to me and says they want to get their wheels powder coated,
Right.
but they don't have another set of wheels for their car.
Exactly.
So,
well, I can help you with that with WTS Dynamics, so no problem.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because my thought was if we could powder coat or have a powder coating facility, like another bay dedicated to that, then we could serve that need all in house.
Right.
Because right now the way I'm doing it, which I have a great powder coater, Jimmy at Elite Powders.
Okay.
He's awesome. He shows up at my shop, picks up our stuff, brings it back. It's all great, and Perfect. He does a great job. But at the end of the day, if I'm not making the money on the powder coat on a wheel, I can't have a car sitting here on my lift or taking up space in my shop, because then we're losing too much productivity that way. Correct. But if we move that process in house and vertically integrate, then it makes sense.
Of course, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think that's really, that would be probably a very smart move. And I think you're going about it very in a very educated manner. And like you said, you've kind of been thinking about this for a while. And I think you're very right. I was going to say that the manufacturers, Ford and Chevy, like you mentioned, are probably the two biggest ones that are doing this move where it's like, oh, you really want that amount of power? Okay, well, we'll sell you all the components you need, and then you just buy from us, and then you'll get to keep your, even now they're pushing to try to up the amount of horsepower that, and mods that you could do, where if you go to the factory, if you go back to the dealership, they'll give you the ability of keeping your factory warranty.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can buy a Ford Racing Performance Supercharger kit for your 5.0 Mustang. Right. And have a 10-second quarter-mile car with a warranty.
I think that's probably, it's due to different factors, one of which being everything just getting better. All the components, the engineering, everything that has ever been created only gets better with time, just like technology. And I think that there was this huge push. I remember back in 2004, like what we were mentioning, back with the Cobra, the Terminators. It's like 500 horsepower was like, oh shit, you got a 500 horsepower street car. That's pretty badass, Dude, and my thing was, listen, I had straight pipes. I had every single mod you could think, including the cams. I had done a full build when I did the Illuminator, and when I did the Illuminator, I did full custom comp cams on that Cobra. I would still roll into the dealership, and to do that, to roll into the dealership like that and still keep my warranty, you have to have like a good, like you had to be cool with the manager, the service manager, and everybody would kind of look around like, are you serious? That thing's got warranty? Like, are you kidding me? Fucking kidding me? Like, what about my shit, But and I remember when the Terminators had a big problem where people obviously were going out to the track and launching these things at 5,000 plus, 5,000 RPM, close to that, with Mickey Thompsons and drag radials and with MNHs and they were just destroying the IRS. They were just leaving it on the ground. So they'd put it right back in. They'd show up on Monday. I remember that a Ford for a while, I don't know how long they did this, but they actually started what they started because people would come in and say, oh, I need an IRS. And I'm like, well, what the hell's going on here? So they started sending out representatives from the service departments from Ford to the major track days and writing down the VIN numbers of the Cobras that were out there. And if they came in that next week or whatever, if they came right in, like let's say a week, or I don't know if they put a time limit on it, but if they just came in and said, no, you have, oh yeah, you fucking blew your IRS. Yeah, wait here. You were at this, you were at Moroso on this date, and I don't think so. Sorry, your warranty's has been voided. So, yeah, I think that the push for that is, I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think I'd say if you look at it from as a whole, right? It's a good thing because, like you just mentioned, you could have a 10-second, maybe even sometimes 9-second car completely warranted. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Because if something breaks, they're actually gonna help you out. There's also extended warranty companies that will, as long as you tell them everything that's on the car, they'll give you a really good price.
Stay away.
What's that?
Stay away.
Really? Stay away from extended warranty?
Yeah, I've dealt with so many of them, and I've never had one cover anything for anybody.
Really? So none of them, not one company that you would suggest saying, hey, look, these guys will cover.
Not a single one. They're all terrible.
Wow.
They're scammers to me.
They just don't want to pay.
Nope, they just don't want to pay. Save the money you're gonna spend on that extended warranty and just save it for when something happens.
Actually, when something actually breaks and you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
What is it their excuse? I mean, what do they tell you? I mean, don't they
Oh,
say, hey, well, wait a minute,
they
yeah, they
always
have
have a
their
reason, and one of the things is a lot of the policies I see, they don't want to cover anything that has rubber or plastic components. Well, it's 2021 and everything pretty much has rubber or plastic in it.
exactly. Well, what about like a major, transmissions, differentials, suspension components? Well, suspension components obviously have rubber, but like well, technically, transmissions are mounted on and they have, but that's not part of the transmission, right?
No, I mean,
That
I
helps.
had a Jeep here for a few months with a blown motor, and it was
Mhm.
here for a few months because of how long this insurance company was playing the game back and forth,
Right.
sending adjusters, checking, looking at our testing methods to determine the engine was bad, and requesting, basically they just play games and request tests until the customer says,
Fuck this,
forget
I'm
it.
done.
Yeah, because all the
Wow.
tests are at the customer's expense, not at the insurance company's expense. So
Wow,
how much money are we going to spend to try to get this guy's stuff covered?
I didn't know that. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
I mean, I'm sure there's some people that have had success with it, but I'm just telling you from my experience, I could never tell anybody to spend that money. That they're usually a few $1,000s, $2,000-3,000, depending on the car.
Right.
I couldn't do it.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for telling us, telling that, bring this to light to everybody listening. That's great. I didn't know that we're that bad, so I'm glad that we talked.
Yeah, and if you are tight on money, most decent shops, we offer financing options for people that need to make repairs. So I mean that you're better off doing that.
Yeah, just doing it that way. Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's very good to know. Great. Okay, guys. So you heard it here first. That's great. I actually never thought of that. I had no idea if shops now actually even have a financing option. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's very common nowadays.
So next we were going to cover how we do it. I think we've kind of, but if you want to add something to that, Justin.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm a very I'm process-oriented guy with everything I do. And building cars is a process. And that whole process begins with sitting down with somebody and figuring out what they want from a car. And I don't do that over the phone because when I do it over the phone, the people are just BSing with me. You need to show up here and have that discussion with me.
Yeah.
And, from the point of seeing what somebody actually wants and what their goals realistically are, we can move from there into a planning process where we're going to decide what somebody's budget looks like and see how far we can go with that budget.
Right.
I
think that's a smart way of doing it as well, because I would, not to interrupt you, but the same thing, that's kind of how I handle WTS. Foundation of what someone wants and what they're going to use their car for should be number one, and their goals number one before anything else.
Yeah, of course, because at the end of the day, you need that person to be happy with the large amount of money they're about to spend.
Right.
And if they're not happy, you have a problem, and it's usually your fault if they're you didn't give them what they want, and that's usually a lapse in communication, and it's our job to make sure that we bridge that channel of communication to make sure we're following the right path.
Correct.
So once we establish those limits, and then we can really get into the planning and building of the parts.
Right.
We do a lot of the stuff. We'll buy like the major components depending on what we're doing, like headers or manifolds, and kind of build the rest of the piping and tuning to suit. But everything is done based on the goals of a person. I don't think we've done the same setup twice for anybody. Yeah.
Well, that shows the variety of what people want. There's a lot of different people out there, a lot of different cars, or not even different cars, but different models, and obviously different manufacturers, and everybody I think has a, like you said, a different goal, and it,
right. And the parts change too. Our skill, if we learn something new every day.
Yeah.
And our goal is every car that we build has to be better than the one before it, regardless. somewhere we're going to improve our process and our skill, so that we make sure that we, follow that. That's one of our main principles.
Right. Well, I appreciate that you take that that terminal or that trying to think of the word of that like that mythology, or not mythology, but that strategy really is I think a very efficient one, and the fact that you say that, hey, look, we learn things every day, that's great, because I think there's a lot of people, a lot of shop owners, and a lot of shops out there that think they fucking know it all.
There's a lot of egos, that's for sure.
Oh yes. And I mean, if there's something that, I mean, I don't know if, I'm sure you guys have heard of the Joe Rogan podcast, but it is number one thing. It's like, hey, don't let your ego get in the way of what you think you might know. You have to be open to, understand that you're going to learn things every day. Nobody knows it all, right?
That's right.
And it's you learn something. If you take that way of thinking, of just thinking, okay, every day I'm going to learn something new and take it as a good, positive thing, great, fantastic. It'll work very good. If you think that you just know it all and you always are going to know everything that there is to know, then you're out of your fucking mind, because it's just there's way too much stuff for the brain to even comprehend as to know it all. So that's impossible. But
that's you always have to be open.
Right. That's great, man. That's fantastic. I think that's a very good way to run a high performance shop. That's a very good good foundation to like have as your guidance, to make sure that you're open to things, and that if you guys do learn something new, hey, look, you added a new skill set.
Yeah.
Instead of saying
there's no shame in it, and I'm a no BS guy. Like if you interacted with me more and met me, you would understand what I mean by that. Like I undersell everything. If I tell you it's going to make 350 horsepower, it's probably going to make 400, 450.
Awesome.
I undersell, overperform. That's always my game.
That's the best, because then everybody goes, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" Instead of going, "Oh fuck, man, you disappointed me."
Exactly, and maybe it's to my detriment sometimes, because I don't, make all of my sales. No one closes them all, but everybody leaves happy.
Cool. That's the number one, obviously the goal as having any business or any shop, a high performance shop. That's definitely the goal. It's very hard to achieve, guys. I've worked at high performance shops, and trust me, it looks a lot easier than it is. Most things look a lot easier than they are, and they're not. But that's great, man. Let me see if we can go over. I think I'm kind of going over everything. We pretty much, I think, covered it all, man. I will actually favorite projects. That's something. I mean, I think you said the E36, right?
Yeah, that's probably my number one.
And you still have that E36, or you sold it?
No, I sold it, and the last I heard, it belongs to RK Tunes now.
Oh, RK Tunes, they're pretty well known.
Yeah, they're pretty well known company. They're the ones who that have it now.
Awesome.
As far as I know, that was a badass car. I'll tell you the story on that one. Actually, it's a pretty interesting story. The car, I bought it for $3,200 on Craigslist with the built motor and all the turbo stuff, standalone ECU, all of it.
Nice.
And it was on Craigslist for about 2 or 3 years.
Holy shit, that's a bad.
And no one went.
That's no good. Nobody wanted it.
Nobody wanted it. And my buddy and I, we talked about it for a long time. We kept looking at it, and he's like, dude, just go look at it. He's like, it's probably a piece of shit, but if we get there and look at it and it's a piece of shit, no, if it's a piece of shit, then we'll feel better about it. If we don't go look at it, then we'll never know. We'll just wonder if it could have been really good.
Right.
And we got there and it was really good.
Nice.
This poor guy had blown the motor. He money shifted it, and shifted from like third to second. We call it the money shift because the motor's done.
Yep.
And bent
blown
a bunch
head
of
gasket,
valves.
or I mean, was it blown head gasket plus 10, or was it was
No, he just bent a bunch of valves.
Okay.
So he took the motor out, rebuilt it, had a built head, built the block rods, pistons. It was actually an S52 3.2 liter crank in a 328 2.8 block.
Yeah, that's
poured out a little bit. So it was a 3 liter stroker motor is basically what it was. And we got there. The car had been sitting for 5 years with a car cover on it inside of a garage.
Well, that's not that bad. At least it was inside a garage.
Yeah, no, the car was beautiful. The leather was perfect. The paint was perfect. Everything was perfect. And I said, God damn it. Now I have to buy this thing.
Now I have to buy. What did you get it for?
$3,200.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's right. You took 30. So that's
that's
awesome.
Yeah, so that we got the cheapest turbo M3 ever, I think.
That's for sure.
That was before E36s really took off in value. That was in like 2014 that I bought that car.
That was I'm trying to think. 2014. I got mine. I sold the Cobra in 2000. Hold on, let me think. I had it. Okay, 2000. I had it for 7 years. I sold it. I think it's almost around the time that I got mine. My first E36 was a single turbo from CES, a guy up in North Carolina, very cool guy. Clean car, but had some rust, and it was bothering me. But I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna get a deal." And I paid 13 for it. And that was a kind of a bargain for that setup, for everything that was done to it. It was a stage 2, basically. It was fully built by CES, or fully built by the owner, fully built motor, and it had the stage 1, which was a GT35R turbo, which I ended up turning into a GTX turbo, which we did the billet impeller
compressor wheel.
Yep. And it was such a fucking. I was so excited. It was such a badass car. It had Brembos, so it had all the right performance parts. It was well taken care of. It just had a little bit of rust on the chassis, which. Anyways, I ended up that car ended up getting wrecked in a very serious accident. It was a DUI. Fucking man, it was stupid. Some fucking guy, man, in a Acura. We're back to Acuras. In an Acura TSX, was hauling ass, and he was drunk as shit. And I saw the accident happen before it did. I saw the car coming up on my left side. I just saw the lights coming towards me, and I banked to the right, all the way to the right, to just try to get away from him. He still rammed right into me. And what ended up happening was he hit me so hard on US 1 going northbound. He hit me, southbound. He hit me so hard that on my quarter panel, he ended up bouncing off my car, hitting one of these gigantic palm trees that was in the median, which now have been removed. That palm tree ended up falling. This was crazy. This was like, I don't know. That Acura was like the Acura from hell that wanted to kill me. Dude, the palm tree ended up falling on the other side of the oncoming traffic, the other oncoming lane, and ended up falling on a brand new 335 BMW. It landed right on the radiator support, so it wrecked that car. He wrecked my M3, and he ended up. He was so fucked up. He ended up. He wasn't even wearing his belt, which is a miracle that even, was alive. His face was all fucked. I mean, this guy's. I mean, and so what ended up happening with me was after he bounced off my quarter panel, I tried to counter steer as much as I could to get control of the car, which was almost impossible. I ended up doing two 180s and hitting the median in the middle, which put the car up in the air, then shot me over there to the right side of the sidewalk. And I ended up right in front of, if anybody lives here in Miami, they'll know there was a pre-owned collection lot that was on US 1. It happened right there. And I ended up right there. I ended up hitting the concrete pole, which took it out of its rebar. Now, wow. Imagine, this is what I'm going to tell you about E36s. Anybody ever I'm telling you, E36, go buy one. Now, the car saved my life. I could have been in a lot of other cars that accident. I mean, I walked right out. I was wearing my belt, but I walked right out of the car, no problem, Vaders. And, dude, when I saw the car, I mean, I had seen the quarter panel was crumpled and the upper portion of the roof line was crumpled. I'm like, this car's wrecked. Like the chassis is bent. That's it. It's over. Had a massive.
You're okay, man.
Oh no, I'm okay. I know that's what matters.
That's what matters. It's just the material objects.
I know. But you know how it is with us car guys. I mean, it was like the death of this poor M3. And anyways, I had a good friend of mine his name was Rodham. I've known him for a long time. He ended up buying the car for parts, and it worked out pretty good because that night, man, I had actually just lost my mom that year. It was and this was Thanksgiving. I mean, it was one of those, I mean, it's just the universe was just like shitting on me. It's like, okay, I'm just going to shit right here, shit everywhere. But it was bad. And I went home and I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to find a better M3. I went in 30 pages in on Beamer forums and I found a 1 of 7 E36 individual slick top M3 97. It was technically the rarest E36 M3 ever built because it was rarer than any of the LTWs. It was a one of seven. There was 269 cars that were built in this color, which was one of the things that made it so rare. And it's a slick top, and it had the Alcantara gray interior that had the M cross stitch pattern in the middle of the seat, in the inner portion of the seat.
I love that
Those
interior.
three things. Yeah, that interior, man. I love that car. And that car. So what I did was I ended up swapping out the turbo, like the whole drivetrain. I swapped it out into the newer car, and then I swapped the original engine out of this car and put it into the silver car. And I ended up selling it all. I sold that to my friend and everything. But let me tell you, man, and I had that car for a year, and we'll talk about that another time because that'll be another like 2 hours, 1 hour, 45 minutes talking about that. But I ended up having to sell it, and we'll save that for the next podcast. But yeah, man, E36s, go buy one. If you've ever thought of buying one, I mean, they're just so sick. They're just so badass. And when you own it and you start driving it, the ability, like again, suspension, it comes down to the suspension geometry in that car. You're basically buying a race car for nothing, and it's a car you can do whatever you want. You could single turbo, you can supercharge, you could turn it into a track car, you could turn it into a drift car. It's such a dynamic car that it's good for everything. But you do have to spend some money on making sure that you get a correct car, like you did. You were able to find a unicorn on that one. So, how long did you keep it for?
I sold that car in 2017 or 2018.
So three years.
Yeah, I don't keep cars long.
Right.
That's like about as long as I go.
Right. Yeah. Well, you kind of can't afford to, right? With you having a shop, you kind of have to have the next best thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really look at it that way because then I would have to be buying new cars. And and I don't. None of the new cars do it for me. I like old cars.
For sure. I think we can all agree on that. Companies like I think RWB and Rocket Bunny and even Liberty Walk, I think they've kind of bred and Singer, companies that we've been mentioning, they've all injected new life into cars that I believe that 30 years ago people didn't see that there was value in.
Yep, that is for sure. And sometimes I think it becomes common that a lot of shops especially feel like they have to be buying the
newer car,
newest car, and there is some truth to that. But at the same time, if you find that special car, maybe you don't need to.
Right.
I think there's a market for people to do those things because there, as you know, there's a lot of cult followings for different cars that you just wouldn't expect. Like the other day, I was out here on the weekend by the shop, and I came across a Suzuki Samurai car.
Oh, dude, those things are awesome.
Yeah, and there's probably like 60 of them that pulled out of a Wawa here, and like it was just like an endless stream of Samurais going across this intersection. It was hilarious.
I don't think I've ever seen that many Samurais in one place ever.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was crazy, but there's vehicles that you wouldn't really expect, I guess,
right,
have huge followings.
Right. Well, there's even funny you mentioned that. I was watching. I like to watch Jay Leno's Garage, and I do subscribe to him, and he always has really great people on and great cars, and he had these. Well, imagine, I didn't even know this. There's a huge call following now, and there's been building up of a DeLorean, like. Like guys that actually will go pick up a DeLorean and want to purposely turn it into, the Back to the Future car.
Yeah.
And they did it. There's these specific guys that he had on that did it. I forgot their names, but
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I saw it.
Dude, sick. Like they spent 3, 4, 5, I think it was 4 years trying to, just to get all the pieces of information, lost documentation, just to replicate it. Not something I would do, but it's definitely, it shows the level of passion for what you said, like a specific type of car that will have a cult following. And there's even guys now, there's actually a company you could still buy a DeLorean, like not brand new, obviously, but it's like a continuation car. I don't know if it's called a continuation, but that's a wrong word, but it's basically, you can still buy DeLoreans from a company that I think is basically just building them out of parts.
Yeah.
spare parts. That's awesome. That's awesome that there's just the car culture world is, I think that social media has put a giant magnifying glass on all the specific different, like the categories and the genres and who's, who's doing what. And it's showing it to the world. And I think it's amazing. I think it's
Yeah.
probably the best thing about social media.
Yeah, for sure. And, as a car enthusiast, like it makes it easy to see everything.
Yes.
But like you said, and I love it. I love cars. Like, I have my preferences, but at the end of the day, I just like seeing cars. Doesn't matter what
Right.
it is.
Right.
Seeing somebody's creation is awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, all car. He actually had one more guy I was gonna mention. He had this guy on, dude. The guy's a fucking badass. What he's been doing is he's been basically doing his own, and I think now we're gonna start seeing a lot of this because Singer, I think, was one of the, I don't want to say they're one of the first, but definitely one of the most mainstream and most people that did it very well and very efficiently. What's called like a not a recreation, but a reimagined version of a car. And this guy, he's pretty young. He's little, I think he's your age. He's 30 years old. And what he's doing is he's basically metal crafting. So he's building full blown aluminum bodied recreation. And some look, some have like hints of Porsche, of the older Porsches, like the 550 Spiders, and a combination of between the older Jags, like the Jag, the F-Type. It's and the XXR, I think it is. I think it's the XXR, I believe, the old school Jaguar, the race car that super famous for racing at Le Mans. It's amazing. This kid, I mean, he's 30 years old, but I'm saying very young guy, and he's doing all this metal craft. It's just all out of aluminum and polished aluminum. It's just sick. Like just the fabrication that's involved in trying to manipulate metal. They were talking about that for 30 minutes of how hard it is, and it's just amazing.
I think that's going to be a lost art at some point.
Well, hopefully not. Guys
hopefully
like him are
not,
kind of trying to keep it alive.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. But Justin, I think we've had a pretty fantastic podcast, man. We've been doing this for 2 hours now, and we pretty much covered everything. Unless there's something you wanted to ask me, I think we pretty much covered it all.
Yeah. Give me an overview again of what's going on with your event, what the status is.
Oh, yes. So as of right now, it's going pretty well. I'm trying to get some people out from California. Like I mentioned, this guy, Ivan, very cool guy. You guys can look him up if you, I believe his IG handle is, I want to say E46 M3 GTR, or Need for Speed GTR, I think it is. I'd have to look at it right now. I just don't have my phone in front of me. He hopefully will be coming out. I've reached out to some amazing people. This girl who's a biker, and she's a professional biker actually, and she's beautiful, and she actually looks like Jay Leno. She looks like J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, which was hilarious.
That's much better.
Yeah, much better. Definitely a much better lookalike. And she's great. I reached out to her. She's gonna see if she can make it out. She has to reach out to some of her sponsors to see about the whole logistics of bringing her bikes down and all that. I actually reached out to someone that knows Damien. And I imagine they kind of, they helped me try to reach out to him, and I'm pretty sure he would have come, but the problem with Canada, him being in Canada, is right now the whole COVID thing. It's kind of like a closed border situation. So he said the logistics of that would be crazy, and they'd have to, even if they did travel, they'd have to stay in a hotel for 10 days to quarantine.
Yeah.
And that's going to be like, just to come here I did tell them, I said, listen, it's going to be car week that whole week. But more about the event. So as of right now, there's about 20 plus supercars that should be showing up. I'm trying to work out 5 to 10 hypercars. I think we mentioned this before when we first spoke, but I'll say it again, obviously on here. Carrera GTs, F40s, F50s, a lot of the 90s amazing supercars and hypercars. Trying to shoot for some of the newer ones, P1s, LaFerrari, 918s. There should be a Countach there, actually an extremely special Countach that belongs to a good friend of mine. He'll be coming in and bringing that. That's actually the car. It's the Lamborghini that saved Lamborghini as a company from going bankrupt. So that's a pretty amazing special Countach that will be there. I did invite John from Curated to see if he's going to bring some of his Diablos and maybe even one of the XJ220s, which would be absolutely amazing. There's an F50 in there that I'm really hoping that might be hopefully coming out. I'm not too sure about that yet. I did reach out to the owner, and we got to see about that. And high performance cars, man. We got all types of cars, M2s, M3s, M4s. Maybe some, I think maybe an M8 should be showing up. I'll have hopefully some, all different types of high performance cars, just the more, the more, well, normal stuff, the non-supercar cars. And it's going to be great, man. I mean, we're providing, I think, an amazing, I mean, for $107, that's what the tickets are going for. I think we're providing an amazing value. We're going to have 5 different, very well-known automotive photographers that are out there doing their thing. They're going to be filming everything as far as video and pictures. Will all be professionally edited. We should have about 5 to either 4, 5, or 6 different YouTube videos that we'll make that will be different segments covering different parts of the entire rally and the show. And that will go for the photography as well. So anybody that attends and buys a ticket they're going to get, I mean, literally probably 2 months of social media creative content that will be unique creative content that will be created that day from the rally all the way to the event. The rally itself will be a lot of fun. The location that we're meeting at, which is going to be right there by the Miami Children's Museum by South Beach, fantastic automotive location to take insane pictures of cars. So that'll be really special. We'll be there for about 2 hours taking all the video and pictures. We're going to have drones flying over to get aerial shots. And the rally there will be amazing. And then the event when we get there will be ridiculous. We're going to be surrounded by private jets at an airplane hangar, surrounded by fashion models, supercars, high-performance cars, hypercars, and VIPs. I mean, more than that for $107, I don't think that there is any other rally right now providing that type of awesome value.
No, it's worth it just in the media coverage itself.
Exactly. And actually, we're also doing, for anybody that wants to do sponsorship, just that you have a company, you want to actually sponsor your company at the event, we do have a PDF print that I could send. That it's on there in the link. Everything is in the link in the bio, guys. Everything. Please don't start asking us a million questions. It's all there. Just click the link in the bio at AG Supercars or WTS Dynamics, and you'll see it all there. It's in a Google Drive. It's all there. All the information, the listing, the Google Maps location of where we're meeting, the time, the tickets, which are through Eventbrite. It's all there.
Sounds like it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. So, and hopefully, Justin, we'll get to see you there with your single turbo E46 M3. That's going to be sick. You can smoke the fuck out of all the supercars and hypercars and make them cry.
I don't know about all that, but
well, that's kind of the point, right? When you build an amazing high performance car, you want to go after the supercars and hypercars, not to make them feel bad, but just to kind of be like, hey, you know what? You're not the only guys out there with ridiculous acceleration. That's always a fun thing.
We'll see.
Yeah. So this girl, she should be, hopefully her and her friends would be coming down with their motorcycles, and we're going to have some motorcycles as well. I reached out to Ducati as well. Ducati should be hopefully providing some of their clients' motorcycles. So we're going to have some Ducatis as well. I also reached out to a company in Fort Lauderdale that I'm hoping will maybe bring some Ariel Atoms to the event as well, which will be sick.
Oh, that'll be neat.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty awesome. But we still are trying to schedule that because, again, it's been everybody. There's a lot, man. So many people have so much shit on their plate. It's hard to keep up with everything. So I'm trying to do everything as much as I can to be as efficient as I can without over spilling food out of the plate.
We're all trying to play catch up.
Yeah, that's right. So. But yeah, man, listen, Justin, this has been great. We'll definitely do another one. We'll get into some other awesome topics. We could, talk about, like, really dive deep into E36s, E30s, E46. Well, maybe not even cover the E30s, but the E46, E92.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about your shop and what you're doing and some of the projects you do. One quick question just before we go. What is the current project that you're working on right now besides the E46 and the turbo car? Obviously, that's the shop car and the Acura you told us about. Is there anything else just in the horizon that's...
Yeah, on Monday, we actually start building a big turbo BMW X5.
Oh, okay. That'll be nice.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And then the next after that, I think we're doing... we're waiting for parts is the problem. There's been a huge issue with parts supply since this whole COVID thing started. Yeah. is going to be an Audi TT, but the Mark 1, so from the early 2000s.
Okay.
1.8T, it's going to be like a 1.9 or 2-liter stroker.
Cool.
Built head, cams, going to rev it to like 8,800, 9,000 RPM.
That's going to be nice.
60 millimeter precision turbo, tubular exhaust manifold. It's you know, the guy wants to run 10s in the quarter mile with
I think
this
that'll be
TT.
doable. Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And it's a quattro. So
right. I was just going to bring it up. I was like, hey, it's quattro, so he shouldn't have any problems with traction.
Right. Yeah. He's like, right now the car has a GT30 on it and like 25 pounds of boost. And he's like, yeah, I can launch off the anti-lag and just drop the boot or drop the clutch, and the tires don't even spin. It just like actually bogs down.
Wow. So it needs more power. It's asking.
It's asking for more power.
Awesome.
So that's kind of the next big build we've got set up.
That'll be one of a kind, because I haven't seen. I mean, I've seen the newer one. I think there was came out in 1320 videos. It was they called it the Mini R8, and it was fucking badass. But
Yeah,
that'll be pretty awesome.
Yeah, the TTR. I think that was a TTRS.
TTRS,
right?
yes.
Yeah, that thing. That's I need one of those too.
Yeah, that thing's awesome. But cool, man, awesome. All right, cool. So Justin, this has been fantastic. So we will hopefully we'll talk to you soon. You know, whenever you can make another 2 hours, which I know is like a lot of your time. So we really appreciate this amount of time from a shop owner. Is like, that's asking almost like for, can I have some gold? Do you have some gold you can give me?
No worries. I appreciate the invite.
For sure. Awesome. All right, man. So we'll talk to you soon, and hopefully we'll see you at the show.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, man. Appreciate it.